Hi everybody, my name is Laurie and welcome to the DR Boxing Fight Party. Tonight we bring you from the Copper Box Arena in East London, Joyce the Juggernaut versus Zhilei Zhang, the Big Bang. And I've got a special panel assembled in here to me today, starting with, on my far left, Shane in the house.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm looking forward to this fight still.
Catching chills over there in that coat, son.
Of course, man. It's always cold in the studio, so I got to keep warm today. It's a hot fight, so hopefully by...
Well, there's going to be plenty of hot air.
Literally.
Nick in the house, what are you saying?
Well, go on. I'm easy, man. I'm easy. I'm here.
And we've got James, a.k.a. the
AJ Sim.
The AJ Sims in the house.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me, man. This is exciting, man. It's a big fight. It's a big fight. Does anyone want to make this interesting? Put some money on the line? That's my question.
I'm always for the money. What are we betting?
I'll put 10 quid on the line again. We made 10 quid for the Garcia fight. Let's have 10 quid on this one.
All right, cool.
I changed my mind. Do you know what? As the fight's been looming, I was all on Joyce, but as it's coming in, I can feel Zhang with the knockout. I'm going to call it round 8 knockout for Zhang.
I'm taking
round 8 knockout. I can feel it, man.
I'm taking that bet. I'm taking it,
yeah.
Yeah, I'm taking that bet. 100%. There's no way.
Nick looks a bit
Listen, we need to find out what James does for a living, because he just comes here every week and tries to lose money. I don't understand.
I'm making money.
I don't understand.
I am making money. I'm a businessman.
So let me ask you, why? Because you didn't say that.
I know I didn't say it. I thought Joyce was going to win come the end of the fight, but you know, sometimes you just get that feeling.
That vibe,
you get that feeling. You know, you're walking walking downtown. The wind is blowing in your hair. All of a sudden you look to the sky and you see these visions. They're so pertinent. It's like it's being injected into the blood beneath your veins.
Unlike anybody else in the panel, make sure you gamble responsibly firstly. Especially unlike you, because you're not gambling responsibly at all. You're just giving away money.
He's saying it with his heart. But you know what though? I'm going to say this, yes, in preparation for this show, because I'm like that. I like to do my research and my due diligence. I did actually watch Joyce versus Parker, and I watched Zhilei Zhang versus Hrgović. So their two last fights. And having watched both of those fights, I'm going to revise my previous prediction slightly. I'm not going against what I said previously, because I tipped Joyce to stop him in 8. But after what I saw and observed yesterday, I'm actually going for a quicker stoppage. Joyce in 6, because what I quickly realised after watching the Zhang Hrgović fight and a bit of the Zhang Forrest fight that we spoke about previously, this man has 0 gas tank. And I'm also noticing that he's come in very heavy for this fight. I think it's at 19 stone.
Yeah.
And at that type of weight and his age, there's going to be no gas tank. So unless he can get Joyce out of there within 4 rounds, I think he's going to get stopped in 6.
But to your point as well, I think there'll be an early knockout regardless, because they addressed the weight directly and they said, well, we've come in heavy. I think it's the career heaviest for Zhang, on the basis that they're looking for a knockout. They're not looking for it to go anywhere. I think
that's true.
Joyce's straight right hand could be a real problem. The stylistically for Zhang, so it looks like an early knockout. Obviously, which way it goes, who knows?
What I found interesting when you brought up the weight, though, is that Joyce is actually lighter than he usually is, which to me, I think he also respects the power and is thinking, let me take this guy into deeper waters. And he's probably not going to be as aggressive early, so he's probably going to move, especially early in the fight, just to make sure he's got that mobility. That's why he's not got the same weight on. I think that's probably his mindset.
Well, it's a smart move, isn't it? Because we were all pretty much in agreement that if this goes late, 10th round, something like that, Joyce stops him easily. Now, Zhang going for the knockout probably is his best chance of getting a win. Because does anyone see him outpointing Joyce? No, I don't think anyone here does. So going for the knockout, I think it's a smart move. How's he going to respond after? I mean, you said it's slightly less of a robbery. I still think it was a robbery against Hrgović. How's he going to respond to that?
I watched the fight again, and I must admit, it wasn't as wide.
I told you. But I'm always right on this channel.
That was his big shot.
Hear me out. I still think that Zhang won. But whereas before I was saying it was out and out robbery, it wasn't a robbery.
I love the fact that Nick's on this panel. How many times was I saying that the last time in the last channel? I said that. I thought Zhang won, but I thought it wasn't wide enough to say it was a robbery.
It wasn't a Jack Catterall or Josh Taylor, where one man won by at least 2 or 3 rounds. But I still think Zhang edged.
Nah, I thought he edged it as well. But he also left, especially at the end of the fight, a lot there for Hrgović to even debate over, which I felt like if he was able to maintain just a little bit of that work rate in the back end, he would have won that fight comfortably.
What I did notice, though, is that after rounds 4 or 5, he hardly threw a meaningful punch. Well, he did, but it was every 30 seconds. You know,
But it doesn't matter how fine the margins are, it's still a robbery. If I go into a corner shop, buy a packet of Haribos and someone nicks it off me, still a robbery.
No.
A
robbery is when it's not debatable. It's clear.
It's not. We all said that. We're all still in agreement.
No, but when you have swing rounds, it's always down to the opinion.
You have to remember,
judge.
James, right, that boxing judging is a very subjective thing. Yeah, it's not like tennis where the ball's either in or out. Boxing is subjective. 4 judges, 3 judges, whatever, people looking at a fight will often see it differently. Most times you can kind of get a flavour for what's going on. However, there are, like Shane says, swing rounds sometimes. Rounds where you may think such and such won that round, I might think different.
I just thought he controlled the fight. I never thought he looked in danger. You know, I thought it was a Lennox Lewis, Evander Holyfield situation again. I'd put it on that kind of level personally.
I don't think it was.
Yeah, definitely not.
But hey, I mean, it is what it is. Hrgović got the win, and here we are. Maybe if Zhang would have got that win, we wouldn't be here today talking about Zhang versus Joyce.
I hope he can do a better job than what Hrgović done, even though Hrgović did get the win on the cards. I hope Joyce literally goes out there and puts out a statement, because
I think he will.
Because I feel like, you know, and I think we're going to talk about it, but a lot of people have been speaking about this whole top 4 thing where there may be a card where the best 4 fighters are going to be fighting at the end of the year. And Joyce, if he puts out a statement...
You're talking about the proposed, or... We say proposed, but there's been no announcement.
Yeah.
There's rumours of a 4-man tournament in Saudi Arabia later this year featuring Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk, I should say, Deontay Wilder and
Anthony Joshua.
2 semi-finals.
Debatable as to whether they're the top 4 fighters
That's
in the
what I'm
division
saying.
or not.
So if Joyce puts out a statement today, he should be saying, I'm the one that should be there. You see my point? If he struggles today, how many of the top heavyweights can you actually put in that top 4?
I agree with you. I don't think that Zhang is the level of opponent or household name that will get him to that.
It doesn't matter who he beats.
I would describe Zhang as a gatekeeper.
I would as well, but
which means that if he gets past him, you're then knocking on the door.
But it's a level down from what he's beaten before, though, because I wouldn't say Zhang is as good as Parker when Parker's a former world champion.
That's exactly the point I'm trying to make. This does not. If Joe Joyce isn't in the conversation for top 4 heavyweights based off his current resume with Dubois, with Parker, etc., this win doesn't get him into.
No,
but with respect, guys, this goes back to what I was saying on our show that we did the other day. By the way, if you haven't seen that show, check it out. Very good show.
Every Thursday.
Say so myself. Every Thursday. DR Boxing Weekly. We chopped it up. We talked about this, and I made the point, and I think it's a very valid point, that there are more than one gatekeepers in each division. There's not just one gatekeeper.
Yeah, but you have to be going up when you're in your level of opponents, which Nick is trying to say.
Yeah, like it's
you
not.
Don't have to.
No, not necessarily have to, but this isn't better than his already established resume. So if in your mind, not necessarily you, but if in somebody's mind, Joyce was not the top 4 heavyweights in the division.
Why is Hrgović
beating Zhang does not suddenly get him there?
Yeah, but what
even
I'm
in
saying, you've got to stay
fashion.
busy because you can't.
Yeah,
just
100%.
wait.
Agreed.
In the meantime, Zhang is a very good opponent.
But I agree with it, but not good enough to get.
So
maybe if Zhang was to beat a White or someone like that might hold more. That might hold more weight.
Joyce beat White. If Joyce beat White,
I think that's what I meant. Yeah.
Listen. At this stage, and I'm sure James would agree with me, Zhang is a better opponent than Dillian, in my view.
I think he's more hungry.
I'm not having that.
Maybe a South London bias. I'm just not having that.
Resume-wise, but if you're talking about dangerous right now, who's more hungry?
Who would you rather fight?
Dillian White's had his shot. I wouldn't want to fight either of them. I told you, I fight at 59 kg, mate.
I mean, if we're talking about, and this is probably a good topic to start off, is obviously where is Joyce in terms of where does this victory actually put him on the landscape of heavyweight boxing? But the reason why I feel like it's more than just who's more dangerous, which I do think Dillian White is still more dangerous than Zhang. I will say, though, a win over Dillian White is a much more established opponent That's what it is.
Yeah, that may
to
be
the-
true, but we all know that Dillian is comfortably past his best.
Okay, that's fine.
Doesn't have much punch resistance, and his skill set always was compromised, even in his heyday. Zhang also hits harder than Dillian. His backhand, that left hand, is a real problem if you get caught with it.
I mean,
Dillian's not one punch hitter like that. I know he's knocked out Lucas Brown and Chisora and people like that, but
I
to
mean,
me-
who is
Not
the
great left
public,
hook.
the general public, going to buy into? A win over
but
Zhang or a win
that's
over White?
different. You could say he's got a better name, yes, and stuff like that.
What's the
Zhang
fans
at
saying
this
in the
stage represents a harder test for me.
Yeah,
than Dillian does.
yeah, exactly. And let's not forget his
Challengers.
last fight that he lost was Zhang's last fight that he lost was a number one contender fight. Joyce also beat Dubois, who is now number one contender for Usyk's belt. So Joyce, I think he's already in the top four. Personally, I think he
I
is.
don't think so.
I don't think
I
name
don't
brand
think
wise.
so.
If you're talking about that tournament, I don't think he gets in that tournament. First of all, I think he said Saudi Arabia. He doesn't bring the money that an Anthony Joshua does, so he's never going to be on that superstar level of them. But if you're talking about at this current moment, on the form that they're in, with looking at their career and their trajectory right now, I think he is in the top four. I think he's the next thing. I think him and Anthony Joshua are basically on that bridge to get to the Usyk Fury level.
I think Joyce isn't far from the top four, but I think he's maybe just outside of it. I don't know if maybe there's some recency bias because he hasn't had that belt yet. Someone in the comments, and I know Laurie's going to go to the comments in a second, did say, would I want to see Joyce versus Wilder next? It's an interesting fight, but I just want to see Joyce have title shots. I think he deserves title shots is really the issue that I have with that fight. If he can't get a title shot, then I wouldn't mind seeing Joyce versus Wilder at all.
He doesn't, but that's the problem with Joyce. That we've all said he's got about as much charisma as Tyson Fury said, as my underpants. The guy does not sell a fight. He could not draw flies to a bag of shit. And that's unfortunately...
Who are we talking about?
We're talking about Joe Joyce, man.
He's got no character.
The guy
He's
has
got no character.
charisma. And
That's-
if you don't have the charisma, if you can't sell a fight, unfortunately, the public aren't going to buy into it. The money's not going to be there. And you're not going to get as many
Copper
opportunities.
box looks pretty full
It's
tonight.
an entertainment
What
business.
was the comment saying?
Right, the comments are saying that it's kind of pro-Joyce, actually. Saying
Okay.
he's going to win tonight and he could beat up Wilder next. Zhang been getting bad decisions in boxing because he's Chinese.
I don't know about all of
He's only
that.
lost the one fight. I think both Zhang and Joyce beat AJ. Well, actually, AJ's beaten both Joyce and Zhang in the amateurs, funny enough. Joyce should have fought Hergovich. That's interesting. Joe needs to come out and make a statement. So that's a flavour of the comments.
I'm very much on Nick's side of the argument where I just feel like just because of the lack of established wins, and I don't think a win over Zhang it's not, whilst you got different level of gatekeepers, if you beat Zhang, you ain't gonna hear, okay, that's top four for me. I do believe that he has the ability and he's capable of beating a lot of the top 10, including maybe some of the ones we've already mentioned, like the AJs or potentially a Wilder. But because of what they've actually accomplished and what they've done, that supersedes everything of what Joe Joyce has done.
I agree. And also with regards to it's about the context of the fight. So when, say, Usyk went and beat a gatekeeper in Derek Chisora, that answered questions because we said, you're moving up to heavyweight. Can you deal with someone who's bigger, stronger? That was the specific question and the specific hurdle he had to overcome. What is the specific hurdle? What are we, if Joe Joyce goes out and bangs this guy out in 4 or 5 rounds, what do we learn about him that we didn't previously know?
You've learned that he can take on and beat another top echelon heavyweight.
Okay.
I think you're looking at it all wrong. You're looking at it as in this fight to prove himself to get that title shot. I think he's already proved himself to get it. I think this is just a matter of he couldn't get any of the bigger fights because all the other fighters are occupied. So he needs another fight to keep himself active, to keep himself.
That's
in
what
momentum.
you're agreeing with us.
So why is he top 4 then? Sorry to cut you off.
Go ahead.
Why is he top 4? Because you said he's top 4. If we're going to go Usyk and Fury's number 1 and number 2,
Yeah.
I would personally put AJ ahead of Joe Joyce. Whilst I think there's a very good chance Joe Joyce can beat AJ, if you look at what they've actually accomplished, Joe Joyce isn't at that level. So what has
Who's
Joe
your number
Joyce?
4?
And me personally, I would still say Wilder. Okay. I would personally still say Wilder because what has Joe Joyce actually accomplished to say he's done more than a former WBC champion?
I think you got a point, and I said I think I put all those 3, Wilder, AJ, and Joyce. I put them all on a very similar level there, but the fact of the matter is, AJ's had his shot against Usyk, didn't work out. Wilder's had his shot against Fury, didn't work out. So by law of averages, Joyce deserves his shot as well. It's not necessarily saying that he's proved himself to be 100% better than either of them, but I think he does deserve the shot on the basis of his trajectory.
You're saying the same thing we're saying.
Rhetoric though, that from you, and it's a bit of a misnomer. I mean, who did Usyk fight before AJ?
But he was mandatory, so it doesn't matter. He's
He was
mandatory.
also cruiserweight champion.
Yeah, I mean, and he came up and he beat Chaz Witherspoon and then Chisora. He didn't look that great against Chisora.
No, he
has to
didn't.
be
But
said. So why are you decrying Joe Joyce against Zhang?
I'm not saying that
saying.
he doesn't wait. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve a title shot. I'm saying that a win over Zhang doesn't take him any closer to surpassing AJ or Wilder in the top 4.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to.
But that's the argument. The
It
argument
does
was
have to. Yeah, that's the conversation. The conversation was Joe Joyce should be in the top in this tournament at the end of the year for top 4 heavyweights, and we said, how did he get there?
To be already dismissing this fight against Zhang as if it's nothing.
No,
I'm
we're not
not saying that. I just don't think
That's how you were coming across.
Okay,
Can people
I
in the comments
apologise.
understand what me and Shane are saying or not?
And you're going to have egg on your face when Zhang knocks him out.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that he's not. You can easily make the argument that he can beat Fury. He can beat you. Whatever you want to say, that's an argument that we can debate.
Yeah.
But in terms of what you've actually accomplished, as it stands right now, a win over Zhang doesn't take you any further above Wilder or AJ in terms of accomplishments.
Yeah, but I don't think it has to.
But my statement, he asked me was, why is Joe Joyce not top 4? That's why Joe Joyce is not top 4. I'm responding to that statement.
Even if he's not top 4, he's in the shake-up in the top heavyweights in the world right now.
I agree.
There's absolutely no...
I agree.
And if he wins
trajectory
tonight, which most of us expect him to do, I know James has a different opinion. If he wins tonight, which we fully expect him to do, then it will only increase his standing in the heavyweight division.
Fair enough.
agree.
To me, this is a very good fight.
I agree.
Okay, but to play devil's advocate then, if we're
God.
all saying if Joyce wins, he deserves a title shot.
God.
If Zhang knocks him out, does he not put himself into that conversation?
Yeah,
Does
he
he
will.
not earn himself a title shot in his next fight?
Yeah, he does.
He does.
I mean,
Which is
And what a
why-
story that would be.
Which is why I reiterate that this is a good fight tonight.
I actually feel like, though, one of the things this fight has actually done is it's almost shown a little bit of the frailties in the fringe contenders' progression. Because when you think of the people that were supposed to be challenging for world titles, they haven't actually looked that impressive recently. Hrgovic, not really that impressive. Daniel Dubois hasn't looked that impressive. The fact AJ hasn't looked that impressive. The fact that Zhang, who's coming off a defeat, whilst we all may believe he won or lost, is almost one fight away from challenging for a world title, should show you the frailties of everybody else underneath.
Yeah, they're very. I don't know. Yeah, like I know what you mean. They're very, very close together. Once you take out Usyk and Fury, it's a lot of 50-50 fights. And if people can't get title shots, then I guess
you have to
credit to
remember
Joe
as well,
Joyce to go and get the fights that
Styles
he can
make
get.
fights, you know. I keep saying that. You just can't look at a guy because he looked brilliant against a particular person and say, yeah, he beats everybody else. It doesn't work like that.
You're
Styles
right.
make fights.
Damn right.
You know, so it'll be interesting to see how Joe Joyce does tonight against a legitimate puncher, a big guy as well,
Yeah.
a guy that can box. I know we've spoken about his gas tank not being there, and I absolutely believe that to be the case, especially after watching his fight again last night. But he does have some cute skills. I noticed, for example, yesterday he throws a good check hook. He's got a very good backhand, and he's got a sound defence. He puts the earmuffs on, so he will be dangerous while he's upright.
If he beats Zhang, which we've all accepted that he does, and the 4 fighters that we say is the top 4 are tied up, who is an acceptable opponent for Joe Joyce in the interim, in you guys' opinion?
Tyson Fury.
No, if the top 4 is tied up in that tournament, who is an acceptable opponent
There
for Joe
isn't.
Joyce?
He's just going to have to fight someone again around his level, like a Dillian White, as another warm-up fight. There is no one acceptable. His next acceptable shot, if he wins this, is a title shot. Anything less than that, at this stage of his career, I mean, he's no spring chicken, Joe Joyce either, so he needs a title shot, and he needs it now.
I just want to break off. Sorry to interrupt you, James.
That's fine.
Congratulations to our boy Freezy McBones. He won tonight. He was on the undercard for this show.
Shout out Cal Freezy.
Freezy did hit me up, actually, prior to tonight. He wants to come on the show. He wanted to come on this week. Well, obviously, couldn't get him on this week, but we're hoping to get him on next week. Hopefully, he'll talk about his win and what he has planned for the future. As we're talking, we're seeing Mikaela warm up, female boxer from America, one of the top. She's moved up a division, hasn't she, to the lightweight. So this is her first rodeo at lightweight.
She looks zoned in.
Is it her first fight since the loss against Alicia Baumgardner?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Sponsored by OnlyFans.
Her original opponent pulled out. She got pulled out. So she failed a medical or something.
Oh wow! What? Also, Moses Itauma, he didn't look the greatest in his
Moses
last fight.
Itauma, we just watched a bit of that fight. Prospect. He's only 18, 19 years old.
Yeah, we went the distance, the full 6 rounds.
Listen, man, that's not bad. You seem to be.
I mean, this is my point again. Like, I'm glad they put him up against someone who's not just a knockover job, but you do want to see him transition through the gears. Obviously, he's still young. He's still
it's his
learning.
Third fight, bro.
But you know,
Shane's the most impatient man.
Let me tell you why I'm doing this.
The most impatient man in boxing.
Let me tell you why I'm doing this, because I've heard.
You wanted to fight killers in his third fight.
No, it's not that. I wanted to see him transition through the fight much better. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I heard Francis Warren and Frank Warren say he's going to be one of the youngest world champions of all time.
They're his promoters.
So if that's the standard we're holding him on to, then
it's not,
I want to see a much better performance.
Come on now, you know the game. There is
course.
promoters. What do you expect them to say?
It's not up to them to decide what standard you hold him to. You have to decide what standard you hold him to yourself.
I'm going to be critical. I'm going to be critical.
But there's critical and there's hypercritical.
No, but I mean, it's exactly what we were saying on the show. We were literally talking about it 2 days ago. I said they feed these guys tomato cans so they get 10, 15 and 0 records so they can build them up.
If you look back at some of Mike Tyson's early fights, people like Sam McScarth and people like that.
I don't like the way it happens. I think you should progress through the gears quicker.
It's the natural order of things. You can't expect a guy.
I think it should be though.
Listen, Moses Itauma is an outstanding amateur. But even then, he didn't have any senior fights.
So then he's not an outstanding amateur then?
He was an outstanding amateur.
Okay, but let's look at Tommy Fury. The guy was.
But what? If you allow me to finish, the point I'm trying to make is there's growth and development in boxing like any other sport, any other walk of life. You can't expect Moses Itauma to come out of the amateurs. He didn't even have a senior fight, and for him to start looking like an accomplished heavyweight that's had X amount of fights, knocking on the door for world titles. They're building him up. It's his third fight tonight. Just because he didn't stretch the guy out in 2 rounds. People are being hypercritical. I think that's very unfair. But anyway, Nick.
Yes. What, Moses Itauma?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. You know, he's the equivalent of, your football team having a great young player. You can't just go, if he's any good, he'd be winning Champions League. That's not how
Your
football.
team doesn't really have any, so you don't have a lot of experience.
I'm not having this. But that's not how it works. You have to match him carefully. You have to bring up his skills. Boxing is one of those sports. The skills are developed in the ring, not necessarily parts of it in training, but they're really honed in the ring. So I don't mind the matchmaking. He didn't look amazing, but listen, it's his third fight, and we just have to see what he does next. That's always the way.
They put him with a journeyman, Dovichenko, was it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Dovichenko, to be fair to me, looked tough. He looked experienced. He put the earmuffs on. He was clearly in there to survive. He didn't come to win. Sometimes it's hard to look good against guys that just shell up like that.
Yeah.
So, listen, man, I've got absolutely no problem with what went down tonight. It's a learning process. He needs rounds. He needs fights. He will. I'm sure he'll get there, man.
We are also coming off the back of, boxing's also about eras, and we're coming off the back of. I know Anthony Joshua was still boxing, but off the back of his sort of era, if you like. He's the most notable name in boxing from this country in the last decade. Him and Tyson Fury, and so everyone's going to get compared to him. And he was starching people, albeit journeyman as well. So that's what is going to happen. People are going to compare it to but just like after Floyd Mayweather, everyone said, how is this person the next Floyd for every single fighter? For anybody.
I agree with that, but I don't feel like my critical eye for Moses is more the fact that I feel like I more see the distance that he has to go between where he is now and where he has to be world level. The conversation about this guy is we're way too premature about all the things that people are saying about him, because I'm just especially in that performance, I saw a lot more there's a lot more work he has to do, including getting a new coach and a new trainer, because I don't know what those guys are doing with him. He looks like he's still in the amateurs. Like, yeah, personally, there's a long way he has to go before we start talking about world level or anything like that.
Do you think he should start
none of us are
approaching?
talking about world level.
No, I mean, generally, there's a great... You definitely haven't been on social media. There's a lot of people talking
in the
about...
future. They're not saying right now.
But for me, if they're still talking about in the future, there's still a long way for him to go to reach that level, in my opinion. But a long way.
A lot of people
say
said the same thing about.
It's too early for him to being tested, though. You should be going through these. I mean, look. I mean, looking at Dovichenko's record, 9-13-1. You know, the
How many
guy's
times
not
has he been knocked out?
He hasn't been knocked out ever. To be fair to him, so that's something. But
and let's face it as well,
he should
Moses, he's nowhere near got his man strength yet.
no,
He's a kid, literally. He's literally a kid. He probably,
is that bad matchmaking
probably
then?
he's not even got his voting card yet.
Is that bad
I mean-
matchmaking to put him in with a guy that hasn't been knocked out? Then he should
because
be.
they're trying
should be building himself.
because I think what they're doing is they tried to put up somebody with a bit more robust, because his previous couple of fights, he's just blown them away, first round, first punch type of thing. So they want to get a few rounds in, which they got tonight. Got absolutely no problem with what went down tonight. They're watching Mikaela Mayer warm up. She's on next. Interested to see how she looks following the loss to Alicia Baumgartner. I was there that night when she fought Alicia Baumgartner. Great fight. It's interesting because I was sat in a row, not too far from the ring actually, myself, Robbie and a few other people. And I was probably the only one in that immediate row where we were that thought that Baumgartner won the fight. And it was interesting that Robbie and several other people we were sat amongst, they all went for Mikaela Mayer. And I stuck my neck out and said, no, as far as I was concerned, Baumgartner won by a couple of rounds. And then it was interesting. I would regard Robbie and those guys as casuals. As soon as I started speaking to people that, with respect, know a bit more about the game than your normal casual fan, they all had Baumgartner winning. Did you see that fight, Nick?
Yeah.
What did you think?
I thought the same as you. I did think it was.
It was a close fight.
I thought it was competitive. I thought it was very competitive for sure. But I think it's down to like the aesthetics of the work. I think that's the difference. I think Alicia can just be, I don't know, a little bit messy, and I think it's very difficult for people who are casuals to score those types of rounds, to see some of the work that she does, which might go unnoticed to sort of the untrained
Well, I
eye.
thought on the night she landed the cleaner shots. I
Yeah.
thought her work was better, more in keeping with professional boxing.
And didn't she hurt Mikaela
did.
Mayer a few
Yeah.
times in that fight? There was not one stage in the fight where our Baumgartner looked hurt.
Yeah.
And I also feel like this is another thing to people out there who are scoring rounds. One of the things that you can do if you're getting into boxing as well is, even if you're, let's say it's a swing round or you're losing round, one thing about Mikaela Mayer is there was always a level of panic or urgency, whereas Alicia Baumgartner was so cool, so
In
calm.
general, sure.
And it's like, even though there's no punches landing or thrown, you just look like the one who's in charge of the action. And that is so pivotal to a judge.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it's actually interesting if you look at the ref scoring. They actually had it. One of them had it 97-93 to Maya, and the other one's 96-95 to Baumgartner. So I don't get how you can have such a swing in officiating. I know you're saying it's very subjective, and you talk about the swing rounds, but how can two people have it edging towards Baumgartner and then one guy have it absolutely cruising towards Mikaela Mayer?
It's
That's
about
I
what
don't
you
know.
like, though. You know, some people actually like the person who's walking, even if they're not landing punches, as long as you're going forward,
Yeah,
you're going
applying
to win the
pressure,
round.
taking the fight to them, but I don't know, man. I think there needs to be something seriously looked into the way a lot of these fights are officiated, personally.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it is subjective, but there are certain criteria that they're supposed to look for in judging professional fights. I think there's the 4 criteria. One is effective aggression. Other one is defense. Another one we spoke about, ring generalship, and then clean punches. If we take those criteria into consideration, for me, Baumgartner did the better work.
Definitely.
I will accept it was a close fight because Mikaela Mayer, she did have her rounds where she did well, and her output was probably more. She threw a lot of punches, but they weren't all landing. So yeah, I went for...
And Maya did get cut
Baumgartner.
as well.
Yeah.
Cut above the eye.
It's a great
So-
fight. It's a great fight. It was a great night of boxing, actually, that all-female card.
There's a poll in the chat for Joyce versus Zhang, so
Okay.
Let's see.
Before we go there, super chat from Daniel Chambers. He's got hater. I wonder who his director. Could be you, Shane.
I mean, every
About
every
Judge
time
Joyce
I'm
like that.
no, I was talking about Moses Itauma. That's
Or
probably-
Moses Itauma,
The thing
yeah.
is, most of the time I'm here, people always say I have the opinion that other people don't have. That's all it is. It's not hating.
Should I tell him the story about how I met Shane? Did I ever tell you that
No, no.
story?
I never heard the story. Yeah.
Right, let me tell you the story how I met Shane. Right, so I'm good mates with Dan Aziz. Yeah, so Dan Aziz was fighting. It was on the undercard for Dylan and,
Rivas.
Oscar Rivas, and Dan Aziz, good friend of mine, light heavyweight champion of Britain, Europe, and Commonwealth. He invited me down because he was on the undercard. It's a training workout day. So yeah, all the fighters were doing their thing. So afterwards, everybody made their way away from where they were doing their thing. And as I'm walking back to the tube station, I had to go through. It was like a little park. wasn't
Yeah,
it?
literally a little part.
So I'm walking through there, and I see this crowd gathered around, an impromptu crowd. I'm like, right, what's going on? So as I've approached, I could see this lone guy in there, and he was chatting loud and gesticulating, and he seemed to be in a argument with some of the other people.
Multiple people there.
Yeah. So, but he was, to be fair, he was holding court, like and he was throwing
Debating.
his opinions out there. And people say, "Oh, you're talking nonsense." What
And
do
you know what the debate was about? Daniel Dubois. And I
Yeah,
was saying
he
his
was-
his defense isn't good enough to be at the
He
top
was
level.
basically saying that Daniel Dubois, he didn't rate him. He's got no. What'd you say?
He's got no defense. He's got no defense. And look at
I
what
just
comes to
stood
pass.
there. I didn't know him at the time. But I must admit, I was quite impressed because he was taking on all these men. Because I think Dubois was been undefeated.
Yeah,
at the
undefeated
time.
at that time.
He had not fought Joyce yet. So obviously Dubois at that time, a lot
He
of
was
people were
gassed
really,
up to be the next big thing.
And this man here was saying, no, I don't rate him. He's going to, first time he fights someone good, he's going to get knocked out. He's got no difference. So I'm standing there looking at this guy, young guy taking everyone on. I was quite impressed. And then it just so happened that as the crowd broke up, me and you walked to the tube station,
literally.
and I was like, so what was all that about? And he was basically saying, look, man, I told these man, watch. And to be fair,
I'm
was proved right
9
to some
times out of
degree.
10 I'm right.
so that's how I met Shane.
To be fair, that story does not surprise me one bit from from my limited
What would-
interactions.
What's the poll for the
Right, so the poll is
For the Joyce
the
wins.
poll is
Joyce.
up, but
And-
78%.
yeah,
Joyce wins.
I think that's probably
Can we actually
understated.
get
to be honest.
another poll? Actually, I
Where's
want
the
to ask the chat.
22%?
or the methodology? Like how is he gonna win?
Well, I think it's just a Joyce win. But I do actually want to ask the chat, actually, if you had any names for the boxing show, if you had any catchy names to put them in so we can
Okay,
hear
yeah,
some
that
of your
sounds good.
feedback. If you can think of anything to call that Thursday show, anything catchy, put it in there. We want to get you
We're
involved.
watching Mikaela Mayer make her way to the ring. What are you expecting from Mikaela Mayer tonight, James?
I'm expecting ferociousness. She looks clocked in. She looks zoned in. I'm expecting her to go at her fast. And
It's a
potentially
late
try and get her
opponent,
out
so
here.
we're expecting her to win. So you
She should be winning, yeah. And
a dominant
like you
performance,
said,
stoppage
yeah.
maybe.
After
Although
the last
stoppage in women's boxing is not
Rare.
it is kind of rare.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, she's got 18 fights and I think
17
five
wins,
KOs.
5 KOs, yeah.
They do tend to like her in this country. She also does commentary work for BT Sport and
Indeed.
Sky.
I mean, I actually think she's a very, very good professional. You know,
She's an Olympic bronze medalist, isn't she?
and just what I hear about her as well, you know, she just seems like a
you
really
see,
good
this is what I
professional.
mean about stat padding records, though. Lucy Wildheart, the person she's fighting, yeah, she won her last fight. Her last fight. Do you want to know the record of her last opponent?
Go on.
You're gonna
20
tell us.
wins, 20 wins, 8 draws. Can you have a guess how many losses?
20.
97 losses.
97.
20
Well, I
wins.
mean,
you
it's-
see what I mean?
it's impressive
and her
that
last
that-
fight was 4 wins, 6 losses.
It's impressive that person had that many fights. There's not
That's
that many
yeah,
people in
fact.
2023 that have that many fights on their
Especially
record.
women's boxing.
Women's
At all.
boxing,
Wait, how many-
she's probably the most capped woman
Mark, how
fighter.
many times has she been stopped?
To be
though?
fair, yeah, no, she exactly what you're saying. She's lost. Well, this says 100 times now, and she's only been knocked out 6 times. So,
yeah. So
to
she's
your
clearly
point,
a tough
not of-
girl.
Yeah, but to your point, also not a lot of stoppages in the
But
women's division.
again, you know,
I mean, let's be honest. She's in there for Mikaela Mayer.
Her traps are huge, isn't they?
Yeah. Her traps.
She's moving
shoulders.
up to Katie Taylor's weight class, no?
She's got girthy shoulders. Yeah, she's got.
Isn't this Katie Taylor's weight class?
Yeah.
Mikaela Mayer.
She's apparently targeting a fight with Katie Taylor. Mikaela Mayer, that is.
Is Katie Taylor Serrano going to happen? Because I know there's a lot of problems. Jake Paul's getting sued by Eddie Hearn right now, but apparently they're saying that that's not going to affect things. I mean, £97 million lawsuit as well. That's mad.
Another super chat here from Moman. He says, shout out to you guys enjoying these boxing streams. Thanks, bro.
Shout out to you, brother.
Help us come up with a name for the Thursday boxing lives, man.
And don't forget, we're on again next week, man. Big fight next week.
We on for that, yeah?
We'll let James say it.
We're on for that one. 3 a.m. to watch Ryan Garcia spank Tank Davis, yeah? Slap him up. And for me to cash all the money. I'm hearing so much loud talk over here. They're all cussing me out off the show.
There's more chance of Zhang winning tonight.
I actually agree with that, you know. On God, I agree with that.
I'm telling you, I'm a tactical genius. You all laugh at me, yeah? Zhang's going to knock him out tonight. Then Garcia's going to knock out Davis next week. And, I'm just going to be chilling, you know?
I'm going to tell you this, yeah? I've been on this channel for so many fights. Well, not so many fights, but most of the fights. And I haven't got one wrong yet. So I ain't going to start today.
Well, I've got 100% win record. I said Anthony Joshua is going to win and he won. So, that's what I'm saying.
Big size difference here between these two girls.
Yeah,
there is.
5'9" to 5'5".
It was the same thing with Alicia Baumgardner, though, because Mikaela Mayer is quite tall for a female fighter, especially at lightweight as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5'5.5".
We're underway. We are underway.
Yeah.
Do you just go for the underdog? Is that your?
No, I don't go for the underdog.
Strategy?
Anthony Joshua, what an underdog against.
Apart from that, I mean,
you're a simp, though. You're a simp.
Yeah, that's true. You're a simp for AJ.
Yeah, right, mate. No, I don't go for no underdogs. I go for what I see. Look, I'm not gonna lie to you. I do want Joyce to win. I know he said I question his ability to cut a good promo and get people interested, but I like him, man. He's a Brit. He's doing well. I want him to get his shot. I do want him to come through this, but I can just feel some magic in the air. As for Ryan Garcia, the fact that he's an underdog is that's just criminal, to be honest, with the man of his talent. The man of his talent and his caliber. I think that's disgraceful, to be honest.
What has Ryan Garcia done for you to even think
man,
that
he's
he can
entertaining.
be?
He's got charisma dripping off his fist.
Boxing stuff. Give us boxing
He's
stuff.
flashy. He's beautiful. If you love the sweet science of boxing, you love Ryan Garcia. Sure, there's question marks over his defense, but I'm talking about activity.
The sweet science.
Yeah.
All right.
I know Tank Davis. Yeah, he's got more accurate punches. He is when he connects. He connects. His activity, I just don't think's on the level of Garcia. I find Garcia very entertaining to watch, and I think
it sounds a little bit more. It sounds like he's a Ryan Garcia simp as well. Like,
I know Ryan Garcia simp. I love Tank Davis as well. I thought his last knockout was beautiful, but
listen, Ryan Garcia, he can punch. There's no doubt about that. He is fast as well, and he looks confident.
And what I will say
however, I've not seen anything in his career so far that remotely suggests that he will even trouble Tank, to be honest.
Exactly, but this is the biggest fight of his career, so this is his moment to stamp himself down, isn't it? This is his moment to stamp his name.
I think he can cause Tank problems. I think that he might even win a couple of those early rounds with his speed, keeping his distance. I don't know.
But winning a couple of early rounds does not equate to winning the fight.
I know, but that will put urgency on him to have to go for the knockout if he can survive. If Ryan can survive the middle rounds, I think Tank wins. But I think that he can. There's different types of causing trouble. He's not going to cause him knockout trouble, but I think he could raise the urgency on him if he keeps winning rounds and keeping a distance.
His only chance of winning is a knockout. He's not going to outbox Tank over 12 rounds. No chance.
The issue is he
doesn't have those skills,
and his defense isn't strong enough to avoid a one money shot from Ryan. The thing is, to be honest with you, as soon as Tank gets his timing, it's over.
Yeah.
It's literally over.
Yeah.
Tank, you did bring up a good point, James, about Tank not having a good work rate. 100% agree. He just takes his time, he goes through the paces. But I've seen fighters with way better defensive structure than Ryan Garcia get hit with a money shot and it's over. I remember Barrios, he tried to be as elusive and as rough and as rigid as possible. He still got turned into a meme as well. It's mandatory when you fight Tank Davis.
I think he's going to smoke Ryan Garcia.
I agree.
I
beg
think
to differ
that
with you,
it
mate.
could be one of those, like those guys said, it could be a meme. And given Ryan Garcia's previous history, and we're going to dwell on this next week, I think it could be a while before he's back in the ring again. I think he's the type of guy that will take a bad defeat very badly.
Well, hey, all I can say, if you want to know and see who calls it right, then you've got to tune in next week
That is
to
true.
see it all
That is
unfold.
Facts.
That's what I'm saying.
Facts.
But what I will also say, I think it's beautiful that two fighters so young that are starting to hit their prime are actually fighting each other.
That's
at
true,
this
but
pivotal
I would
moment.
also say, though, does he deserve to be in a fight of this magnitude?
Of course he does.
I think he does, yeah.
Yeah, I told you, it's
Well,
the
because-
entertainment business.
Or on account of his Instagram following.
Yeah.
No,
But what does Tank actually have to fight for? Because it's not a world title fight, so...
No, I'm saying a fight of this magnitude.
Money.
Do you think Ryan Garcia deserves to be at that level?
you could say that for a lot of people.
No, I know-
you're
I know you could,
you're
yeah,
laughing.
yeah.
You're saying his Instagram followers, and I'm going to sound ridiculous as a kind of boxing purist, but genuinely, yes. If he can go and create this platform for himself, and even if he does slightly over egg his own stats and ability, we've seen this before. I think Chris Eubank is exactly the same, to be honest with you, and he's gone and got opportunities that I think are above where he should be based on name recognition. That is a part of the sport, and that's a huge
Although
amount of
Eubank
work.
did participate in that Super 6 tournament.
And he lost.
And he lost.
He lost, yeah. But I mean, Ryan Garcia, his signature win so far is against
Luke
Luke
Campbell.
Campbell.
Yeah, but
that was
I'm
about
sorry,
3-4 years
That
ago
was a while ago.
when he got dropped and looked fairly unimpressive.
There was a period of time where Luke Campbell was the serious gatekeeper for that weight class. So it's not a bad. I'm not going to sneer at that name of Luke Campbell, but it was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Luke Campbell actually retired after that.
Yeah.
And when you look at it, and you just... I think Ryan Garcia does not say necessarily deserve, but I understand why the fight's there. Not just only because of money, but Tank is also running out of opponents. Because if you're not going to fight the Devin Haney's and the Shakur Stevensons, who else are you going to be able to fight to generate that level of income?
And isn't Tank like 32 as well?
No,
How old is he?
No, he's like is he 30?
He's 29.
I thought he was about
Okay,
before
I thought
30,
he was
under
older.
30.
I thought he was older.
Yeah, but also I find that word boxing purist very snide. It's especially since these influencers or whatever you want to call them have come along and started fighting and stuff. There's become this divide and stuff. But at the end of the day, it goes back as old as time, really. I mean, look at Prince Nassim Hamed. You know, the reason why people were so invested in him, Muhammad Ali. It's about your promotion. It's about entertainment
you?
business.
Yeah,
What you
how
do outside of the
dare
ring.
you?
No, but I'm saying what you do outside of the ring
compare
is
Ryan
just...
Garcia at this stage with Prince.
No, I'm not. But what I'm saying
Muhammad
is,
Ali.
no, obviously. But what I'm saying is, what you do outside of the ring is equally as, if not more important, than what you do inside of the ring.
The difficulty
it's an
is
entertainment business.
The difficulty of what you just said. I understand the point you're making, but you did pick two people that, at a period of time, were the absolute best.
Exactly,
gold standard.
But the reason why Muhammad Ali is undisputedly the GOAT is because of his
They were the
promoting
gold
skills.
standard of their sport at their weight class, and then the other stuff added on top of that. They
Facts.
weren't just at the time when Muhammad Ali was boxing. There's a bunch of other black Muslim guys running around saying stuff that Muhammad Ali was saying about.
No, they were not doing the same. They were not doing the same promotion. He was the first to do it.
I'm saying outside of boxing, and they didn't get opportunities just because they were good talkers. That's not how it works.
No, but
Yes, it
again, what I feel like you forgot as well is, like, the foundation of Ryan's fame is not from him. Is not from what he does as a fighter, and that's a fact.
That's exactly.
Whereas Muhammad Ali was Olympic gold medalist. That's what people
Exactly.
also forget. Like, Prince Nassim was the #1 fighter in the country. Period. Ryan Garcia has never been the #1 in America, never been the #1 in Mexico, and he's done nothing inside the ring to say.
He's not even Mexican. This thing about
Wow.
Okay, yeah, but it doesn't matter what he's done. What gets more eyeballs? Who can he fight that gets him more eyeballs than fighting Ryan Garcia? There isn't one.
That's my argument as well.
I agree with
They
you.
are prize fighters.
I agree with you.
fight
I'm
for the
just-
biggest prize possible on the biggest stage with the biggest amount of viewers. And that is what Ryan Garcia is going to bring.
I absolutely
Therefore,
agree.
he has earned it. However you say he's earned his name or he's built his image, he's built his brand. Therefore, he deserves it. He's been very clever in how he's marketed himself and all the other things he's done.
He's done
to
a great
interact
job
with
in that
another-
regard.
Yeah, to interact with the younger audience.
Yeah,
and
no,
build it.
in many ways you are right. But what myself and Nick are saying is that he should consider himself fortunate because what he's done in the ring so far in no way transmutes to him being in a fight of this magnitude so early on in his career when he's done relatively nothing. The win against Luke Campbell was a good win, and it was an eliminator for a title, which he then ducked because he was the number one mandatory for Devin Haney, and he declined that option. To me, that is not how real fighters roll, bro. When you win eliminator, you go and fight for the title. He didn't want to fight Devin Haney because he lost to Devin Haney a bunch of times in the amateurs. But anyway, moving on. We've got
Devin Haney on the same promotion as him at that time.
They were both at the zone. They were both at the zone.
That fight was easy to have made if he had wanted it. Right, okay, we've got a super chat here from Mashagu7. Hope I haven't butchered that name. I probably have. Apologies. He says, you four are doing a great job. If you guys keep up this quality and consistency, I can only see this DR boxing going from strength to strength. Thanks, bro.
My brother.
Appreciate it.
Firstly, I wanted to say that Mikaela May has basically won every round so far, as we expected. But yeah, she's landed a few good shots. If you are wondering why we're not covering, it's just...
To be fair to, what was her name?
Lucy.
Yeah, let's call her Lucy, from Sweden. She looks quite tough, you know.
Lucy Wildheart.
Yeah. She's trying.
Definitely.
She's not, you know.
I mean, Mikaela May
Taking the centre of the ring.
doesn't have that, you know, that punch power to just obviously eliminate.
Very few women do.
But that's why, again, Alicia Baumgartner I really do like. She's got that explosive power. So does obviously Savannah Marshall as well.
Savannah Marshall is the only one that comes to mind, really.
I mean, look what... you can't say that. Alicia Baumgartner stiffed... What's that girl?
Terry Harper.
Terry Harper, literally. That was another meme as well, to be honest with you.
It's interesting, though, that the girl that Mikaela May was to have fought tonight, Lenar 2, she's got a win over Alicia Baumgartner.
Yeah.
Why did she pull out?
I think there was something wrong with
A medical.
the medical.
Got you.
And the board in this country are quite strict on stuff like
Great counterpunch
Yeah,
there
they're
from
strict
Wildheart.
on stuff like that, but not PEDs, but it's calm. Speaking of PEDs, I mean, I've heard a little bit of...
A rumour. You're going to talk about the rumour.
Have you heard that rumour?
Yeah,
Oh,
there's a rumour going, and I'm going to stress this. It's strictly a rumour.
Allegedly.
I don't believe any of it.
Allegedly.
That AJ failed a PEDS test, which is why he announced that his next fight will be December and not July, as it was previously announced.
Not my AJ. He would never do such a thing.
I don't believe it.
I don't believe it neither, I can't lie.
It's also
just
something.
internet stuff.
It's also something that's been thrown at AJ, you know, since he first started boxing,
To be fair,
because of
look
his
at his
size
arms.
and his muscle and all that kind
I
of stuff.
think with AJ,
People said that for a long
some,
time.
there was some talk around
Therapeutic use exemptions,
Yeah.
yeah.
and why
To be,
he
he,
should
probably, he probably needs it.
Well, we don't know why.
Well, I do feel
we know
like...
that Floyd had therapeutic use.
Yeah, in his hands. And that was out there as well. He had TUEs as well.
He's had 2 broken hands. He's still boxing.
Yeah. But with AJ though specifically, I feel like not only do I agree with James, I don't agree at all that he done any drug testing. But apparently, and this is from VADA, AJ is the most tested fighter in the country since he's turned professional, and he's never failed one drugs test. So,
and in fairness, a lot of that is money, right? I mean, he's one of the only. Not one of the only, but he can afford it.
Yeah,
you know, for some of the lower down fighters that are taking big risks, because a lot of those guys just simply can't afford that level of testing, whether that's for themselves or for their opponents. So.
And also, he's a very popular guy. He's going to meet a lot of people. He's going to shake a lot of hands. So, you know, anything can happen.
Human contact.
Anything can happen these days, you know.
Exactly.
I see Amir Khan doing the rounds of talk shows and
I think he's innocent.
radio
I can
stations
see it,
trying to prove his innocence.
There's so many fighters, man. I'm sorry. There's so many. If you look through the history, that have just been swept under the carpet with steroids and stuff. And especially in a combat sport, I think it is inexcusable to use PEDs. But I think there's so many more people that are yet to be popped.
Listen, the
because
fact
the
is,
science
Amir
is too
Khan
high.
failed a drugs test, and as far as I'm concerned, he's a drugs cheat. Now, you could say, did he do it knowingly or not? Listen, only he will know.
Well, the only thing I didn't get is he came out and he said he knew about it before the fight, but then he was like, why didn't they release this information before the fight? But he knew about it before the fight, but it didn't
it's a
go
bit
to
confusing. But I mean, banning someone who's already retired is a bit, you know.
I mean, to be fair, it makes
pointless.
Eddie Hearn look a lot more vindicated
Or
with
did
the
he
Conor
bring
Benn
forward
situation.
his retirement because of this?
That could be the reason
Because
as well.
from what I understand, after he lost to Kell Brook, he was prepared to exercise the rematch clause. Then that went quiet. Was that because of
More,
failed drugs?
that's a very, very plausible reason. By the way, smash the like button to people that's watching.
Absolutely.
And he also got smashed up in that fight, which I think is a more plausible reason as to why.
I'll tell
he
you one
didn't
thing about that.
tickle
Kell
the
Brook
rematch.
is not having any excuses, mate. I saw an interview of him in the week, and he was very, very angry. And he
Yeah,
basically accused Khan of cheating, knowingly cheating as well. And who can blame Kell for feeling that way?
He wants to fight Conor Benn now, Kell Brook. So he wants to go from one juiced up guy to another. You know, he likes the Caprice up. Maybe he's trying to shake hands and get himself bumped up. What do you think about that whole moving Conor Benn to Saudi Arabia to have a fight while he still can't fight in England?
I mean, Eddie Hearn is literally just trying to find anywhere where he can get this guy out and fighting. But to be honest with you, I'm not surprised. But do I think it's right?
Yeah.
Personally speaking, no. Because I feel like when you get banned in any jurisdiction, that ban should be universal. But that's the loophole in boxing, and we can't get around it. You know.
Shall I tell you what I think about Conor Benn? And I'll be interested to hear what you guys think. I think that with Conor Benn, I am trying to be fair to him. Listen, he failed the drugs test. That's beyond dispute. Yeah. He said it wasn't knowing. He said...
Is he a drug cheat?
Well, yes, he is, because he got caught. Once you get... You know what I mean? That's it. But what I'm saying is that I do believe that he's handled this very badly. I think his PR has been atrocious. Mm-hmm. I think that him not wanting to clear his name is not a good look for him. He's got this so-called 270-page document that he won't release, for example. I mean...
I think that's because if he releases that, he still probably gets a ban. That's why I think it may narrow his ban from like 4 years to 2 years. But with the information on that document, I think it does still give him a ban. And I think the fact, like you say, that he hasn't released it is very telling. And then to go on Piers Morgan's interview and start banging on for about 15 minutes about how you have this whole dossier, completely prove you're innocent, but I don't trust them, man, with what they're going to do with that information. You know, it's not really... Yeah, it's not a lot of legitimacy behind the point.
I see you...
Yeah, it's a shame.
Very thoughtful.
I like Conor Benn a lot. I was a big fan of his dad as well. Obviously, there's some added context when he says he doesn't trust them with the history of his dad and the governing bodies and different things like that. I just think, he couldn't have handled this in a worse way. And, most people, unfortunately, get caught for doing PEDs. Your ban isn't for life. What you want to try and do as much as possible, if you do get a ban, is salvage as many fans as you possibly can. And at this particular moment in time, even if Conor Benn is innocent, he is not acting very innocent, and he's turning away a lot of his fans, and they just will not be interested to see, what he's going to do, and they're just losing interest in him, and he's played this completely wrong.
He might have to play the role as a villain, just.
Oh, I think that's what he's doing. Yeah. Smacking microphones off people, which I think was over-egged a little bit because they were. Yeah, I think they knew what they were doing when they were complaining about him slapping the microphone. Gareth Davis was trying to aggravate him there. He was trying to press the buttons.
Gareth Arsehole Davis.
Your words, not mine.
That guy.
I mean, it's interesting though because they're talking about him fighting Eubank again. Eddie Hearn said he really wants to remake that fight. I think if they do end up remaking that fight, and again Eubank has to cut a lot of weight, I think that is really gonna.
I thought. Do you not think it's slightly hypocritical of Kell Brook? He really went after Amir Khan.
Yeah.
And then, like you guys are saying,
he wants
now
to fight.
Talk about him fighting Conor Benn.
Yeah, I think it is. It is hypocritical, and it's also sour grapes because he's had something over Amir Khan, and it just kind of smacks me of he's not quite relieved with the fact that he beat him. Like it still hasn't done enough for him for the whole career of him not quite getting that respect.
I'll tell you what else is slightly hypocritical with Kell Brook. I've got to say this. No. I've got to say this, right? So in that interview, he made it very clear that he's really got contempt for drug cheats, which is fine. Mm-hmm. But then his best mate in boxing,
Billy Joe Saunders.
No, who's the good? Kid Galahad.
Kid Galahad, yeah.
Failed a drugs test and used the excuse that his brother...
shook his hand.
Basically tainted his food because they'd fallen out over some
domestic
dispute.
Fallen out, yeah, let me just give him some steroids.
That was the excuse that he used, that his brother tainted his food because they'd fallen out over some... I don't know what it was. And that's his best mate in boxing. And when he got caught with that in his system... I never heard Kell Brook once come out and say anything against Kid Galahad for that. So
that's a fact. You know, with Conor Benn, for me, this is the last thing I want to see. If you're coming back into boxing, I don't want to see these gimmick fights. Like the fight, the whole Eubank coming down a weight. If you're gonna say you're gonna be a welterweight, you're gonna have to go out and fight some heavyweight welterweight. I mean, like real top level, upper echelon welterweights, like a Stanionis or Ortiz or Boots or someone who's actually gonna earn you some respect in the streets. You know, like get your reputation back as a killer. You know, this idea of you're just fighting these, you know, these gimmick fights.
Well, the rumor is
there's
he's going to fight Manny Pacquiao.
But even
Listen,
that's a gimmick fight because Manny Pacquiao's retired 2 years.
It will be gimmick fights because Eddie Hearn lost about $2.5 million on the fight initially and is losing a lot of money the longer this thing goes
He's
on.
also losing a lot of credibility.
And losing away from but the money he can't get back. Credibility is less tangible than money. He can get money back from putting him back in with Ben.
No, I think he's got his credibility back, to be fair, Eddie Hearn. I think he went through a rough patch, but especially everything that's happened with Tyson Fury and now everything that's happened with Amir Khan, I think that has started to rebuild his legacy. Plus, let's be real.
Rebuild his legacy? How?
No, not rebuild his legacy, sorry, rebuild his public image, Eddie Hearn.
But how?
Because the fact that Amir Khan's now failed the drug test and he's come out before and said the result came out before the fight even happened and that fight didn't get pulled, and one of the big sticks they were beating Eddie Hearn with is why didn't you pull the fight knowing it, and he said legally I couldn't have done anything to pull the fight. Then you look at the fact that Tyson Fury is failing to make the Usyk fight. That suddenly makes his situation with Anthony Joshua look a lot better because Anthony Joshua is fighting all these people. And the main thing, let's be real, everyone will jump on someone one day for something that happens in the world of sport, but the world of sport is so fast moving that within a month or 2 months, nobody really cares. The same way no one's really talking about Canelo all that much for his steaks that he was eating and all this kind of stuff.
I don't know, James. I think I might have to disagree with you there. It would appear that the court of public opinion is judging Conor Benn and
Eddie Hearn
very unfavourably over this whole incident. And I'll tell you why as well, because if you look at it, the British Boxing Board of Control have reached out to commissions across the world and they've basically said that they can't force it, but they're asking other countries not to allow Ben to fight there. And it would appear that they are they're listening to them. Mm-hmm. So he's having trouble in his career getting fights.
Conor Benn is, yeah, but I'm saying...
No, but Eddie Hearn's his promoter.
Yeah, okay, I know, Eddie Hearn, but that's one of his fighters. When the Anthony Joshua Franklin fight was going on, how many people did you see questioning Eddie Hearn aside from... aside from that TalkSport interview, how many people really still questioning him about Conor Benn? Nobody was.
No, but he's
he's
inextricably linked to this whole thing.
Of course he is, but I'm saying it's still...
It's not been a good look for him.
It's not been a good look for him. No, of course. It was absolutely terrible for him. But as time's gone on and other things have come to light, I think it is slightly less bad for him. I think if they make the Eubank fight, which he does, to recoup the money, then I think eyeballs start going back onto him.
And that's exactly the point I was making. That's what will happen. It will be about who's making the most money, and I understand that, and especially understand that for smaller fighters that don't have the social presence and all the rest of it. But for some of these top elite fighters or people that have a big platform, they don't have to just take money fights. They can take legacy fights because they make so much money elsewhere. They don't have to.
Does
you know
Eubank Ben even make that much money in Dubai or Saudi Arabia? In England, it's a massive fight.
I think that's a good point because let's face it. What's his face? Forgetting his name now. Chris Eubank Jr.
Yeah.
He got well and truly smoked in his last fight, so his marketability took a real
hit. Yeah.
And the whole fight is built off their fathers, and their fathers are massively known in England for what they did in England, fighting at Old Trafford.
I must admit, I never wanted to see that fight in the first place.
No, I did. It's a gimmick.
But to be fair, I do think it was on his way to being a sellout.
Oh, it would have. It was sort of. That was. Everyone was talking about it. Everyone was.
The thing is, neither of them is a fan favorite right now.
Agreed.
Neither Conor Benn or Eubank is a fan favorite right now.
They actually need each other.
No. I mean,
in Saudi Arabia though, like,
but
how
it's about Eddie recouping that money. Even if it makes 1/5, he needs to make back that 1/5. It doesn't. From his perspective, it doesn't matter. It will make money even if it doesn't sell out. The Saudis will pay for it. And he'll start to recoup some of that money that he's lost.
I think he recoups money anyway. I think this is Conor Benn's heel turn. People hate him. People are going to want to see him get knocked out. He's done a Roman Reigns. They've tried to push him as a face. It hasn't worked for all this time. He's gone and taken a break. Now he comes back as the bad guy.
I think Conor Benn and
he
Eddie
hates
Hearn
everyone.
have underestimated how bad this has made them look. I really do. I think
No,
that
I
they thought
agree.
that they could go off
I think
elsewhere,
so.
get fights, and it would be all gravy. And they're finding out that it's far from that.
It's also
I see
because
the Ring
everything-
magazine had dropped him as well.
It's also because
from their
all the
rankings.
movements that Conor Benn has done since, it would have been a salvageable situation. And what James is saying is normally accurate. People go on about these drug cheats and stuff until the next hot new topic comes around. But with the way that Conor Benn's done with the interviews, and he's made it way worse. He's actually
That's what I'm saying.
he's actually cemented that
Yeah.
kind of permanently.
The
How do you not have
Oh,
these
no.
interviews?
I think he is.
The
I'm saying
PR
Eddie Hearn's
or
probably
lack
fine.
of, or lack thereof, has been woeful.
And Eddie's normally quite slick at that. If there's one thing that you'd have him over other promoters for,
His public interaction.
his public interaction, his talk, that he's normally quite slick. When you see
He
Eddie
was.
being not so
Squirming.
slick
No,
and being
what
squirmish,
was-
that's when there's a problem.
I mean, look at the night, not the night, but the day of the news being announced. He refused to give anyone media, and then the next day he only gave media to his favourites.
Well, if you listen to the
So-
interview that Conor Benn did with
Piers Morgan.
that was a real car crash of an
Yeah.
interview, by
Oh,
the way.
that was horrific.
If you notice towards the end of that interview, Nigel Benn
Yeah.
was on the call,
And he didn't help
and he
himself
actually
either.
said that Conor should have presented that document to the British Boxing Board of Control.
But then
so even his own dad thinks he got that
He
wrong.
did, but then he also started squirming on it a bit when Piers Morgan pressed him on what exactly was in the documents. He also started squirming and saying, "Look, I don't trust these people," kind of thing. But to say Eddie Hearn came off, I think initially he did. But if you look at the Simon Jordan interview, I mean, he got a resounding. Who goes on a Simon Jordan interview one-on-one and really comes out
No,
looking
but-
good? Even Piers Morgan, who's very
Robbie?
slick
No,
with his words.
no.
Got absolutely pieced up,
But-
Robbie. Yes,
but-
granted. But Eddie Hearn,
I can answer that
stitched him up.
question very, very easy. Very, very easy in a sense that Simon Jordan didn't have the point. He doesn't understand boxing enough. So when Eddie Hearn's bringing up boxing references, you can't if you didn't live through that time of boxing. You like he brought up the boxing reference of Billy Joe Saunders and Demetrius Andrade because he doesn't know enough about that reference. It just goes straight over.
I
his
actually
head.
thought that Eddie Hearn let Simon Jordan off the hook. I think he did get the better of him, but he could have entirely smoked
Smoked
Simon.
him.
I know, but I think
And
he also
he never did it because he was passive
Like-
aggressive.
Yeah, but I think
Eddie
that's a
Hearn-
smart thing. If he goes too angry and tries to smoke him,
no, it's
then
not
all
even
of a
being
sudden
angry.
he looks
It's not even-
emotional.
he could have exposed, like Shane said, he could have really
Yeah, but
badly
the-
exposed.
but then if
because
you do that,
Simon
you've got an
Jordan's
enemy for
knowledge of
life.
boxing is superficial, and he likes to talk and run his mouth, but you don't know anything about the sport.
Yeah,
I think James is right that Eddie had the strategy that he tried to play it cool. His whole image is around him being cool and being slick and playing things off for banter and a little bit passive aggressive and cheeky. And I think if he comes too much out of that persona, he actually, although he'll smoke Simon Jordan in actual boxing knowledge, he makes himself look more guilty. And I think you're right. It is very frustrating listening to it for me as a boxing fan because Eddie's
It's developing
arguing
into a
with
bit of a,
Eddie's
Yeah.
arguing with a boxing casual essentially.
Exactly, and I know
You're being
for
a bit
fact.
harsh on Simon
I know
Jordan.
for a fact. Yeah,
He's a boxing casual, 100%.
And this is what I would say. I know for a fact. There's no way Eddie Hearn could come on this panel and do what he done to Simon Jordan to anyone else on this panel. I'll put my life on it.
Listen,
Come on,
I'm going to
he's
give.
slick.
No
you
way.
underestimate
No-
how good
trust
he is
me,
with his
no
words.
way.
I'm going to give
No way.
Simon Jordan the Roger Mayweather. You don't know shit about boxing.
I know, but
We need that on the
he can
soundboard.
structure a
They're
debate.
really on the soundboard.
The guy can structure a debate, and Eddie Hearn is very easy to say, yeah, you
Simon
could
Jordan.
stitch him up. When Eddie Hearn sat in front of you and he looks at you with his crisp, I think, blue eyes, and he starts wagging his tongue, and he manages to lace the sentence in ways that will stumble even the guy with the most stability known to mankind, the best balance, he'll still make you stumble. The way he articulates himself, the way he words his
I don't
sentences,
think Eddie Hearn makes me feel the way that he makes you feel.
He's quick-witted, man. Don't
I
try
feel
and-
he feels quite differently.
I don't want to go there. Right, let's digress. We've got super chat here from Imanshu Yadav. Thank you very much, guys. He said, guys, your thoughts on Taylor versus Teofimo Lopez. Now, we did speak about this very briefly on the DR boxing show last week. Make sure you check that out. Some interesting thoughts. But for the record, let's start with Shane. Josh Taylor of Scotland versus Teofimo Lopez of Brooklyn, New York, America. What do you reckon?
Who do I think will win?
What do you think about the fight? Who do you think will win?
I think it's a very good fight. I think they both needed it. I think we spoke about the fact that it's a crossroads, the fact that they both come in and not very good performances. And Taylor, trying to regain that the belts at the weight class, and then Teofimo Lopez moving up a weight class. So I think we're obviously, you know, it's a very good fight that they both need, and it sells a lot because obviously they're both entertaining characters. Who I think will win, just to be quick, I'm gonna lean towards Josh Taylor, just because psychologically I think, you know, he's still there. You know, I feel like we're actually starting to see the unraveling of Teofimo Lopez, which is so unfortunate because he's so talented.
By the way, we're reaching the last minute of the fight with Mikaela into the 10th round. It's not been one-way traffic, you know. The girl she's fighting
and
is
the last round
very brave and very
was
tough.
a 10-10, well, apparently.
And the judges' scorecard gave the other 8 rounds a 10-9, though. But,
that was obviously, I don't know who's...
unofficial. It could be
unofficial.
another Tony Bellew action. But
Right, Nick. Josh Taylor versus Teofimo Lopez.
I give the edge to Josh Taylor. I don't know how much that is like British bias, because I do like Taylor a lot. Although I like Teofimo Lopez as well. But I agree. I think that, you know, his performances are getting progressively worse. It is, you know, he'll need a real pendulum swing, you know, to swing that momentum backwards. You know, where's the fight happening?
America.
Madison Square Garden.
It needs to happen in
MS.
America.
That's in, arguably, although I don't think he's a strict New Yorker like that, Teofimo Lopez hometown.
Yeah,
he likes to claim New York, but he don't live in New York.
Yeah.
And I think even when he was growing up, he wasn't there for his whole duration of his
So, I mean,
childhood.
that I think that could potentially have some kind of impact on it. I think that's really interesting. But I give the slight edge to Taylor if it was on neutral ground.
They are both moving up in weighting course
Yeah.
from lightweight to lightweight.
No, Taylor was already at 140.
Yeah, you're right. Teofimo's moving up in weight. He was a lightweight. He's
But
gone up
his
to
last
lightweight.
fight against Sandor Martin was at 140 or catch weight. I think he wasn't. I don't know, but that he didn't look good in that fight.
James?
well, you talked about his mental deficiencies and his potential mental frailty as a point as why you're giving the fight to Taylor. I'm gonna flip it on its head and talk about the physical, the physical deficiencies potentially of Josh Taylor coming off, like I said, that plantar fissure injury on his foot. How's he gonna come through from that? You know, he looks like someone for me that the injuries are starting to pile up at this point. Teofimo Lopez, I think, will be the fitter fighter in the fight. How he's going to be able to move on that foot again is not something that I can predict. I think, again, that could be a real big talking point going into this fight. And Teofimo Lopez's mental issues have a lot of it come from, as I spoke about before, that marriage problem that he did have, which was obviously heavily publicized. That did happen, I think, 12 months ago now almost. So he could move on from it. And I do think he can start to rebuild that mental toughness, shall I say.
hope so.
And I do back
I hope
Teofimo
so.
Lopez. And I think the ceiling is higher for Lopez.
I hope so.
My opinion is that it's a crossroads fight. Both guys in their previous fights didn't look good. Teofimo, a lot of people thought that he lost to Sandor Martin. I thought it was very close, could have gone either way. Whereas Josh Taylor, in his last fight against Jack Catterall, a fight that we all saw, to me, Jack Catterall won that fight by at least 2 or 3 rounds. And Josh Taylor's kind of struggled since then. He struggled to come to terms with his performance that night. The fallout from that fight wasn't good. He never came across as particularly classy the way he handled it. He's been accused of not giving Catterall the rematch. And listen, he needs a big win. This fight gives him an opportunity to get a big win. And I must admit, I do lean towards Josh Taylor. He's the bigger guy, naturally stronger, I would have thought. And to me, prior to his fight with Jack Catterall, his form had been way better than Teofimo Lopez. I know Teofimo's got that great win against Lomachenko. But if you look at the records of the two fighters, I mean, Josh Taylor was undisputed champion. He was in that pound-for-pound listing, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Up until the Jack Catterall fight.
He's had a lot more acid tests that he's passed. You know, the Regis Prograis fight, the Ramirez fight. You know, he's had a lot more tests.
The only problem he might have, though, is the fight being in America. I'm not sure if he'll get the judges on it.
But look, when he fought Ramirez, that was in America. And Ramirez had a lot of Mexicans there.
Yeah.
And he still got the decision in that
But
fight.
he did drop him and beat him up, though, didn't he? And that fight weren't close.
Maybe he does the same to Teofimo.
Yeah, but my worry is if he doesn't, then he might get screwed on the cards. But hey, it'll be a good fight, though. I'm looking forward to it. That's
So
on the 10th of
you
June.
backing Taylor.
Yeah, I am.
So
yeah. I think
once
he's the
again,
better
I'm the
fighter.
only one going for the other fighter.
Yeah, bruh. But
Well,
you know what? That one's a
Mikaela
lot
Myers
more
just had her
50-50.
hand raised.
Yes.
Come through a 10-round decision, unanimous. She's the new interim lightweight champion.
For the WBC.
The full belt's held, of course, by Katie Taylor. Obviously, Mikaela Mayer is targeting Katie Taylor. Did you see anything there, Nick, that Katie Taylor will be worried about?
I think it's just the size, isn't it? I think the size is going to be a big problem. You know,
She does have a high work rate as well, Mikaela
yeah,
Mayer.
but Katie Taylor's work rate's pretty good, though. I think that they can kind of not cancel each other out, but I think Katie Taylor can move around her quite well. But I just think that size could be a real issue, and the power. You know, I know we said a lot of women's boxers, not a boxer in general, don't necessarily carry that knockout power. I think Mikaela's probably more powerful, but yeah, it'll be a long night's work for Katie Taylor for sure. But I would still
I
back her
think
to
as well,
favour.
you have to remember that Katie Taylor's been around a long time, both
Yeah.
as an amateur and a pro. She had a lot of hard fights.
Yeah.
I mean, me personally, I think she's lost at least 2 of the, even though she's
Yeah, I
unbeaten.
was just about to say she's got a couple of favourable
Yeah,
decisions. So I
yeah,
take that.
yeah.
I remember the one. I think we spoke about it before. I can't remember the girl's
The
name.
Pursoon fight.
That's the one.
The first Delphine Pursoon fight is one of
Yeah.
the worst robberies I've ever seen in my
Yeah,
life.
so I take
actually say
that. I take that unbeaten record with a pinch of salt.
Yeah, even the
basically.
second fight with Delphine Pursoon, I thought Pursoon won.
I watched Katie Taylor fight, yeah, and I watched her fight Amanda Serrano. And every time I see the judges give her a fight, and they give it so wide, I actually start to question whether I know about boxing. Because I think to myself, what fight was I watching? Because I didn't see the fight that wide.
me, Serrano won
I
that as well.
I don't know where. But I don't
If you
know
remember
where
in that fight with Serrano, the referee at one point looked like
Almost
he was just
stopped it,
about to
yeah.
jump in and stop it. And fair play to Katie Taylor. She came back well. She fought. She showed a lot of heart and guts, which we know she has. She did show some good skills as well. But come on, bro. She lost that fight.
Definitely the first Pursoon fight.
Definitely the Serrano one.
Yeah, I don't think I saw it. I don't think I saw the Serrano fight.
That was supposed to
great
be the
fight.
big one with Jake Paul.
It's a great fight.
Jake Paul was the promoter with Eddie Hearn.
Got you.
A fight that I want to talk about, and I know we're going to talk about it eventually at some point in the coming weeks, but I haven't seen any comments come through, so I just thought I might mention it.
You thought you just mentioned.
Stephen Fulton versus Inoue. I am looking forward to that fight.
But do we have a date for that fight?
So it was supposed to be next month, but I think Inoue got injured, so apparently they're moving it to the 27th of July. That's what I'm heard.
It's not been confirmed yet. We
No,
will
it
talk
hasn't.
about it, obviously. But yeah, that's a great fight. Inoue's moving up in weight to take on Fulton. To me, that gives the decided edge to Fulton, even though Inoue is a big puncher at the lower weight. To me, I'm looking at Fulton, man. He looks really, really good. And I think that Inoue, as good as he is, I think this could be a step too far. Nick?
Yeah, I always back Inoue. I don't feel confident backing against him because he's just so good. You know, he's in that pound for pound conversation. Even though he's taken a step up, I give the slight edge to him. Maybe it's just a personal bias thing because I like the fighter a lot. He's just got such a monster sort of attitude. He's very low key, but his attitude, his focus is insane.
His all-round game, man.
Yeah, fantastic.
He reminds me a bit of like a smaller Usyk. You know, just game. Wants
Probably
you know,
has a bit more power as well.
wants
pound for
wants
pound.
the fights, wants the belts, and will take on anybody. And so I'll probably give the slight edge to
I give
Inoue.
him credit for even taking that fight because he's an undisputed champion to
Yep.
move up and in fact the unified champion, the weight class above, who's undefeated. That's a really that shows the courage and bravery. So credit to him for even taking that fight. But I think obviously he's a Philly dude. Obviously I'm a big fan of Philly boxing, so I'm always gonna go with Fulton.
I think this guy here has probably got the comment of the night, John Gibbons. He says, and I quote, "I kind of like Laurie. That dude speaks sense, intelligent input." Thank you. That's the kind of comment we want. Not like Clarence Worley, who says Laurie knows jack about boxing. I suspect he's saying that because of what I said about Katie Taylor. Now listen,
And what
bro,
you said about Ryan Garcia.
No, definitely not.
it's probably what I said about Katie Taylor because it's come just after what I said about. But I don't take back my talk. Katie Taylor, that first fight with Delphine Pursoon was one of the worst robberies I've seen. The second fight, I thought Pursoon won, and I also thought that Amanda Serrano beat Katie Taylor as well. I'm not the only one, mate. A lot of people do. But anyway,
Paul
forget
did.
all that. The next fight is the big fight. The Juggernaut versus Big Bang. That's what we're here for. So let's look at the Taylor tape, shall we? Shane, tell us the Taylor tape.
So obviously we got Joe Joyce, 37 years old, and Zhang, 39 years old. Not a great deal of difference in terms of age. You know, probably Joe Joyce had a little bit more mile on the clock in the pros, but Zhang's been in the amateurs for years. 15 fights for Joe Joyce, 26 fights for Zhang. 15 wins for Joe Joyce, undefeated, perfect record, 14 knockouts, only going the distance once, and that was against Bryant Jennings, which was a few years ago, so he's knocked everybody else out since then, whereas Zhang's got 26 fights, 24 wins.
That was probably his hardest fight, actually.
The Bryant Jennings fight. I've always said that the Bryant Jennings fight was his hardest one. 26 fights for Zhang, 24 wins, going the distance with Jerry Forrest on a majority draw, and he also got a controversial loss to
I think it's fair to say about the Jerry Forrest fight that I've watched that fight back, man, and in a way you're kind of lucky to get out of there with a draw because
Zhang.
Yeah,
I mean,
he came apart at the seams.
Done. He was absolutely gassed. It's the most gassed I've ever seen.
To be fair, he did have to go to hospital after that
Yeah.
fight. He had a liver complaint, and I think did he say he was suffering from anemia?
Yeah, like I've never seen a fighter go to the hospital because of cardio problems. I've never seen that before. Like that's ridiculous. But yeah, the tail of the tape, they're both similar in height, similar in reach. I don't think there's a great deal of difference.
Couple inches reach difference, 2.1 inches reach difference.
Okay, so that's the tail of the tape. Let's talk about the keys to victory. And I've drawn up a few notes there that hopefully might inspire some debate. Joe Joyce, let's start with him. He's the home fighter. He's the favourite. Keys to victory for me, he's got to work behind his jab. He's got a very steady, it's not very quick, but it's very consistent and it's pretty hard. It's always in your face. He's got to work behind that jab, control the centre of the ring. He doesn't want to be getting pushed back by Zhang. He needs to be the one controlling the range and the distance. That way you get Zhang even more tired than he's going to get. Non-stop pressure. Now you can apply pressure not just by punching but by your feet movement. Again, we spoke about controlling the centre of the ring. When you control the centre of the ring, that means the other guy has to move to your core. That's very important in boxing, actually. Very underrated as well. Make Zhang work. You know, make him be thinking, make him be working. He's not going to want to do that because we know he's got a suspect gas tank. Important for Joe Joyce, go to the body. Very underrated. Filip Hrgović, I was watching that fight he had with Zhang. He was pretty successful. He went to Zhang's body.
Especially with the jab as well.
Yeah, and it did seem to pay dividends. So yeah, those are the...
Sucks the gas out of him, and we already said his gas tank isn't that great. I think the key for Zhang is going to be getting up close and personal, using that extra weight he has in the clinch, try to tire out Joyce a bit. I don't see him tiring him because I do think Joyce's gas tank is a lot better, but still, like you said, Joyce losing weight, him gaining weight, has to try and bully him in the clinch, has to try and keep it close. If Joyce is able to control the ring and keep him at his jab and dance around him, then I think this is going to be a very, very long night for Zhang.
We all would agree that Zhang's best way of winning is landing that big left hand on Joe Joyce.
Well, I've made a note on the keys to victory for Zhilei Zhang. If I've missed anything, you guys can enlighten me. But right, so Zhang is southpaw. So what you need to do as a southpaw is to get your foot outside the lead foot of Joyce, which is not always easy because they'll both be looking to do that. But whoever can do that probably have an element of success. Time Joyce with a counter left. Now, Zhang, I've been watching a few of his fights. He's pretty astute at doing that. He's got a very good backhand. It's very quick, very powerful. But he's got to try and bring that into play. Try and time it. So when Joyce comes forward with a jab, he'll either loop it over the top or make him fall short and come over.
You got to be unpredictable. You can't just throw it every time Joe Joyce tries to step in. You got to be a little bit unpredictable and throw it from different angles, but I agree.
Use his right hook as a check hook. I've seen him do that quite a bit to Hrgović, so he would allow Hrgović to come forward with a jab and then drop the, well, it's southpaw, so he'd drop the right hook over the top. He had some success with that. Try and take away the jab of Joe Joyce, which is it's easier said than done, but he's got to try and do that. We spoke a lot about his gas tank. Now, if you're Zhang, you've got to try and pace this fight perfectly because we know that his gas tank doesn't compare to Joe Joyce's. So what he's got to try and do is pace it.
But does he, though? Because we said if it goes the distance, he's lost. He needs to try and get him out of there.
Yeah,
I
know that. But what I'm saying, he can't go hell for leather in the first round. He's got to pace himself. So even in the way he throws his punches, throwing 3, 4, 5, 6 shots at a time is probably not a good look. You're just going to tire yourself out. He's got to choose his moments, conserve his energy, and don't waste his punches. Because if you do, You'll be tired in 2 or 3 rounds.
I think he
and
needs
then
a
you'll
strong
just-
first round still, though. I think he needs to do what...
I don't think he does.
We were talking
I
about
don't think he
Teofimo
does.
Lopez before when he fought George Kambosos, and then instantly he came straight bang, took the center of the ring, smacked him in the face, earned his respect, and suddenly started to put him on the back foot. I think if Joyce is able to establish his game early on, I think then it's running away from Zhang.
Respectfully, I disagree. I think he's got to play possum with him. I think you
That's
know
a
what
good
Joyce is
point.
going to do, right? You know he's going to outwork you. To me, he shouldn't even be trying to outwork Joyce. He should be waiting for his moment to land his punches because he's not going to beat Joyce on points. The only way he's going to win this fight tonight is by knocking you or stopping it.
The reason why I agree with that is because I feel like if Joyce gets too comfortable in there, there's a chance that Zhang can land something.
That's right.
Land something big. So you can't really be trying to go out there and match Joyce stride for stride. You're going to get knocked out quick.
Exactly. All he's going to do is just implode after 2 or 3 rounds. He'll be up there, sagged against the ropes, and Joyce will just tee off in him and he'll either get knocked out or stop. What he's got to try and do, he's got to say to himself, look, I'm not going to beat this guy on points, or it's very unlikely. Let me wait for my moment, because he will get moments. We know that Joyce defensively is not the best.
Gets hit, and how many times, he's 37 now, isn't he? So how many times can he keep absorbing those shots before it eventually takes its toll? Not just, on a fight basis, but fight-to-fight basis. If you're getting hit that many times,
That's right.
at one point your chin is going to go.
I watched the fight last night as part of my research for tonight, the fight with Joseph Parker. And Joseph Parker, honestly, he landed clean with some hellacious shots.
And
Okay, he didn't get him out of there, but he did buzz him a couple of times.
I would say Zhang hits
harder than Parker.
yeah.
So if he can land
him the
shots
big
like
bang for nothing.
That's his key to victory. Trying to outbox him and outwork him, that's not going to work. He's got to wait for his moment and go for it.
I think also once he does hurt him and inevitably buzz him, not inevitably, but if he does, what we're talking about, the gas tank there, is not emptying it, not doing a yard against a Kovalev, and going all
Look
out.
at Dylan.
That's Dylan,
Dylan White's there.
He's trying to get his
Frampton.
next fight sorted out.
He
That's
is
what he's trying to do.
yeah.
But you know what, though? Dylan White looks like he's the next opponent for a lot of people. We said he should be the next one for AJ, but I wouldn't mind seeing Joyce versus Dylan White.
I
either.
said Joyce versus Dylan White as well. These guys didn't fancy it, but
Bunch looks like he's about to
Got
knock
another
someone
super
out.
chat here, guys, from Sean P. Casey. He says, I'm clipping everything for the downfall. Arsenal not getting anything is peak. Well, it's a boxing show, yeah? Right. Hey, if you want to clip.
But
Listen,
Arsenal
I'm gonna
will be
say
getting
here and now,
knocked out.
I think Arsenal are going to win the title. Nick's an Arsenal fan. What do you think?
yeah, I think we're in the title. Yeah.
Right.
Can you hear the delusion just coming over here? All right.
You need to worry about staying up.
Flipping heck. They've been
Leeds
knocked
fan
out
in
of more
the house.
tournaments than Deontay Wilder.
I've had more faith in Arsenal than Arsenal fans. I said you lot were going to win the league from December, so.
There you go. But yeah, I think
They will.
for
If
Joyce,
they don't, it's the biggest bottle job.
I think for Zhang, it's hurting him and then taking a step back, waiting for your moment and hurt him again, and just keep chipping away at him that way, rather than going for the finish. Zhang has quite quick hands. I think also that straight right hand for Joyce could be the key. Jab and step. If he can use the jab to get out of eye line and then step to the right, he can get away from Zhang's right hand.
I got another question, because I actually think it might be quite controversial, but on a single punch, I would argue that Hrgovic probably has slightly more power than Joyce. And Zhang took a lot of punches early in the fight, and he didn't get
He's got a
overly
good chin.
wobbled.
Yeah,
So
he's
he
got a
does
good
have a
chin.
decent chin as well.
He does have a good
And
chin.
Joe Joyce is more relentless pressure. It's not a big single punch like a Wilder. So again, you could also, especially early in the fight, don't be afraid to, when you do have Joyce there, try and land a good money shot, because in exchanges you might get better off. You never know.
We're looking
Yeah,
at
they're showing it here, vulnerable early.
That's
He's
back to
getting
James's point. James was saying that he's vulnerable early and you should go and try and establish that dominance. But that was all well and good, and we're seeing clips of him taking some punches early. But all of these people did end up getting starched in the end.
Yeah, but they aren't the big bang, all right?
Big bang Zhang.
That's the theory.
Chat shit, get zhanged.
Do you think, that Joe Joyce coming in lighter was because he's trying to be a little bit more elusive, or was that just a coincidence?
I would imagine so. Yeah, I think so. I think that they know that Zhang's going to go for the knockout, and he's going to try to take him into the second half of the fight, and then really start offloading. And who knows? Maybe when he feels one of those punches, you know, it can go either way, can't it? It can make them really close up and go into a shell, or it can make them go, actually...
I think Zhang coming in
this.
heavy, that also tells the story. That
Exactly.
tells me that he's going to plant his foot on the floor and go for the
Literally.
knockout.
Yeah.
Joe Joyce is so uncoordinated, though. He is so
You
uncoordinated.
say that, but he's also quite agile.
He is.
He looks ungainly, but this man
I
does
I think he
capoeira.
did.
He does
capoeira,
the somersault.
taekwondo.
The somersault at the end of the
Yeah.
fight.
Yeah, but bro, I mean,
Can you
when
do a somersault?
No, I can't.
There you go.
But when you look at the way he throws his punches, it's literally 1, 2, 3. Like
No, he does throw
he
combinations.
throws combinations, but it's like there ain't.
You know what it
there's
is?
no
He's been watching
sharpness
too
to
many
it.
Mayweather on the mix doing all
Bro,
that
he-
stuff.
this-
These are heavyweights.
The choreographed
Too
dance.
much
Yeah,
Ryan
yeah.
Garcia.
Nah, even AJ. You know, AJ's. You know, his offensive combinations are way more quicker. Like,
Yeah, but
like
he's
watching
got
him in
amazing hand
reverse.
speed. He's actually very underrated, his hand speed, Anthony Joshua.
No, but a lot of people
Can't
say
finish a
he's
plate of dinner at the
robotic.
moment. He's robotic, but the robotic stuff is regards to head movement and moving around the ring.
Because in my homework for this, and I hope you guys did your homework as well.
Okay.
But I did compile a list of
Don't give me
strengths of Joe
detention.
Joyce. The first one, as we all know and talk about, great chin. I mean, this man. I think it's more than a rumor. I think it's actually true that the man's had his bone density tested, and it's at least 5 times that of the normal man. Apparently.
Wow.
Joe Joyce's bone density.
Wow.
That's like
actually
Marvin
facts.
Hagler as well.
That's actually facts.
bone
So when you
density
see him
like that as well.
taking those big shots, it's no coincidence. The man's got a bone density of 5 times that of the normal man. So I thought I'd get that in there. So yeah, great chin. We spoke about the gas tank. Is unbelievable for a heavyweight. A big man like that can do 10, 12 rounds in
Easy.
his sleep. We spoke about his agility, the fact that we pointed out the man does capoeira, man. Which other heavyweight do you know that does somersault stuff? His relentlessness. He's got decent footwork for a big man, you know. I mean, aesthetically, he doesn't look really nimble, but if you look at him, he does actually have good
His
footwork.
foot placement
Yeah.
specifically.
Punching power, he can punch. He's not a one-punch knockout artist, but he does hurt you with his shots. And he does throw good variety. He goes to the head and body. And the jab, I spoke about that earlier. It's steady, it's in your face, and it's hard. When he fought Dubois, it was a jab that just wore Dubois
Yeah.
down. He took his eye, just thoroughly had Dubois quit, to be honest,
Yeah.
off the back of the jab. So his weaknesses, though, he's, as we said, he can be a bit slow and a bit one-paced. It's all, you know what I mean?
Yep.
But it's effective.
And Zhang
James.
isn't the quickest of guys, so
Yeah.
is he going to be the person to expose the pace? Probably
Defensively-
not.
Sorry to cut you off.
No, no.
Zhilei Zhang, his strengths.
No, you missed the weakness of Joey.
Yeah, I spoke about it.
Well, his lack
Hand
of
speed
defense.
and one-paced.
His lack of defense is also
Yeah,
a
that's-
weakness.
Yeah, sorry,
just the
yeah,
point.
of course, yeah. That's probably the number one. But
Head
then you
movement,
say that,
Not there.
but then the chin is so good that
Yeah, but how long
I mean,
can it
I
last
always
for?
say in boxing, the best chins are the ones that don't get hit that
Facts.
much.
Exactly.
But you know, to be fair to Joyce, his
but
defense is
how
pretty
long
poor.
can
It's
you
pretty
take
porous.
those kind of shots
Well, that is
for
what we're gonna
breakfast,
find
lunch,
out
and
tonight,
dinner
hopefully.
before it starts racking up in your brain. You're getting CTE. Everything's freezing up over there.
As we're
and you're in
talking
for a long
today,
night.
looks like the Sweet Caroline's
blasting out. Yeah.
blasting out.
You got a
So
good-
corny that is. I have to say.
They got a good turnout for.
Oh,
Joe
I said to
Joyce
you, man,
guy.
you lot were saying that this man can't draw flies. Who was it you said that? Was it you? Look at the
I
crowd.
said he can't.
I mean, I know it's the Copper Box, it's not Wembley, but look, not a spare seat in the house.
Yeah, man, it's a good
Yeah,
turnout.
he's-
So that's a very good turnout.
It's a big, you know,
I
you're
think what it is
underestimating the Big
as
Bang.
well, a lot of people like this fight. This is a good fight.
Oh, it's
So
an excellent
credit
fight.
to the promoters for getting this fight on.
It is. I think the one thing you really missed with Joyce in terms of his strengths, though, is the stigats, the cojones. When I'm watching those clips, even there, it just reminds me of what Anthony Joshua used to be. You know, sitting in the pocket, not being afraid to take a couple of shots, to give some, and and everything that he needs to be. He needs to have that confidence to trade and actually unleash his combinations.
I don't think
like
that's.
Joyce
I don't
does.
think that's confidence. I think that's lack of defensive ability.
No, as in the fact that he's not sitting back. He will sit in the pocket and he will trade. He will unleash the combination. In order to throw a combination, you are going to leave yourself vulnerable. You are. Just
I
there's
understand
no
that,
two
yeah.
ways about it. If you're going to unload a combination, you are not going to be
Tell
as
that to
defensively
Shackle
sound as you could be.
Stevenson. There's levels to this stuff. Listen, Zhilei Zhang is there. He's got a very loud outfit on.
He's repping the
But
Chinese
he
colours,
does
isn't he?
Beautiful
Yeah.
outfit. I've gotta
He
say.
does look confident, though. I've got to say that. He's looked
He's
confident
looked all
all week.
week. Oh, I was gonna say that. Like he beat Joe Joyce in the press conference. He didn't even speak English that well.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
was absolutely ripping
I
it.
like that line where he says he's come to bang everything. I'm not sure.
Final predictions before the fight.
Predictions.
Right, yeah, so let's go around the table. I think I know what we're going to get, although James threw a curveball in. We'll go with him last because he's got an interesting take on things. But Shane, he's been steadfast from the start. I pretty much know where he's going with this.
Yeah, Joe Joyce, round.
What round?
I would probably say, the thing is, you got 9, and I actually wanted to go 9 as well. But
No, listen, if that's what you feel, say it, bro.
I'm gonna go 8.
You're going to
gonna go 8.
Joe Joyce 8.
Yeah.
How's it going to end? Knockout or does
No, I
Zhang
think-
get stopped on his feet?
I
or
think probably the corner throw in the towel.
what? Okay.
You're just gonna have to stop the fight, innit?
Nick?
Round 9, yeah, I think that, Zhang's going to try and establish himself early. I think it could go longer than people expect it to. You've got someone that knocks everyone out versus someone that's never been knocked out. It's, I think it goes longer than people expect. So, yeah, round 9, Joe Joyce. And I think, I'll go for a knockout because I'm hoping I see a knockout.
James? The
I
curveball
think,
man.
like you said, look at his eyes, man. The guy looks poised. He looks angry. He
I'll
looks
tell you what he
venomous.
looks like. He looks like the bad guy from a kung fu movie, don't he?
Yeah, like in the Rush Hour. That tall guy in the Rush Hour.
Yeah. He looks like back in the day when I used to watch those films, there was always the bad guy up against Bruce Lee in it.
He looks like his right hand is possessing a big bang.
The left hand.
And
The left hand.
both hands. Look at him. His right hand's pumping up right now. Look at that. That's where
looks
you're
confident.
thinking he's going to
He
come
looks
with the left.
confident.
That's where he sticks you with the right. He's got a big bang in his pocket. And my theory is that he finishes him in round 8. Flatline.
Wow.
And for any fighters that are foreign and not English speaking, Zhang's a great guy to look at for charisma because you mentioned the press conference. He's super charismatic despite not actually speaking English. So that, not that it's not an excuse because it's not an excuse. People don't speak English. That's fine. That's the way the world is. But you can have charisma and set a fight without
Just
that.
do the
Modern
Usyk.
Joyce.
I am very feel.
Exactly.
You know what's interesting, though? A point that I found out in my prep for this fight. His trainer is a guy called Sean George. This is Zhang's trainer. He used to be a fighter himself. He actually communicates with Zhang in the corner in Mandarin.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that's good. That's
What's your prediction?
Right, my prediction is, listen, those of you who watch the DR Boxing Weekly show, which I hope you did, you will see that I predicted a round 8 stoppage for Joe Joyce because of all the things we spoke about. I'm not going to go and list them all again. But in preparation for tonight, I watched both fighters' last fight. So I watched in its entirety. I watched Joe Joyce versus Parker, again, full fight. 11-round stoppage, and I watched Hrgovic versus Zhang, where Hrgovic, a lot of people felt was lucky to get a decision over Zhang. Based on that, I'm revising my prediction slightly, and I'm revising it downwards. Whereas I predicted an 8th-round stoppage for Joe Joyce, I'm now going for round 6 because I noted that Zhang's punch output in his gas tank after about 4 rounds was almost, it just went rapidly downhill. And I thought that's against Hrgovic.
Yeah.
And against Hrgovic, it has to be said, wasn't on his best night. No. Against a fully fired up Joe Joyce in front of his own crowd here in London at the Copper Box, you can see how hyped up he is. I think once that engine cranks into gear, man.
What are we talking?
Laurie,
KO,
Ryan,
TKO,
5-6.
doctor stoppage,
I
flatline,
think he'll be, the referee will say no mass.
TKO.
Laurie,
6. 6 rounds.
What do you think of Ishmael Salas as a coach for Joe Joyce?
Good. I think it's good.
I mean,
It's had a positive effect on him.
when he first came, obviously he was the coach for David Hay at
I
the
know
same
you only
time.
rate American
No,
trainers.
I actually like Ishmael. No, I actually like Ishmael Salas. And I was gonna say I didn't know how it was gonna work out because it wasn't supposed to be a permanent thing. But
Well, listen, you can't teach Joe Joyce to be a Vasily Lomachenko.
no,
It's just not going to work. But I do think that Salas has got Joe Joyce. If you look at when he first started to where he is now, you can see there's definite improvements. And not only that, the confidence levels of Joe Joyce are through the roof at the moment. That's got to count for something. So yeah, I think Ishmael Salas has been good for him.
78% say Joyce is gonna win Joyce is gonna win over 1K votes.
I'm surprised that 17% went for Zhang, to be honest with you.
17% of highly
One of
intellectual
those
individuals.
17% is my man on the right.
Absolute tactical geniuses, those 17%. So I'd go as far
Mind
as
you,
to
he
say.
says Leeds are going to stay up. So
That's an uncalled for dig right there. It's absolutely uncalled for.
Someone asked in the comments, would a prime David Haye beat a prime Usyk? And it's real quick, because before the fight starts, no.
Well, just look at them both fighting Tony Bellew, and then you've got your answer.
At cruiserweight, by the way, the
Yeah,
question.
well, look at the Bellew fights, and now
I don't think you can use that as a barometer.
No,
because
it's not the only
To be
barometer,
fair,
but-
David A was well past his best in both those, especially the second
It's
one.
true, he had the injury that really
Hay was
screwed him, but-
never an elite fighter to me.
Yeah, well, that's a bit harsh.
I don't think he's.
He was an elite cruiserweight.
I mean,
He was an elite. I think he was an elite
I agree.
cruiserweight.
at the
He
time,
was an elite
I don't think historically he's an elite cruiserweight though. Like Usyk is a historical, like he will go down as someone that was
I know
one
what
of
you
the
mean,
best
yeah.
cruiserweights of all time.
I know what you mean. That's debatable, but yeah.
No, I think
probably a better
I think Hay was elite, man. Yeah.
He was a very, very good cruiserweight.
He's a good fighter.
And he was one of the first self-promoters as well. He did a big thing.
He's good
for a lot
amateur
of
as
people.
well. World amateur silver medalist. So yeah, man. Let's get those likes up, people.
It's smash the like button, and of course,
Smash
get
that like
your
button.
predictions, what round it is. Put your cojones on the table. Let us know when you think this fight is going to end, how you think this fight is going to end.
How much do you think that the southpaw stance will be a factor, Nick?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I told you this before, bro. Absolutely nothing.
Nothing can phase him.
Because
Joyce walking through.
It's because you brought up a really good point. I didn't think you were going to bring up, Laurie, which was the foot
thanks.
Yeah, bro. Obviously, the foot placement of
First
Joe
time for
Joyce.
everything.
I think he doesn't get credit because of how slow he is, of how good he places his feet, and he spoke about of where a southpaw needs to place his feet. He squares up a lot, so his foot placement, he doesn't use the left and right. When you're a southpaw, you want to be able to pivot on the outside of the orthodox fighter. He doesn't do that. So really and truly, I don't think it's going to make any difference whatsoever.
Zhang's just been introduced, and he looks ready. So does this man we're about to be
Staring down the
introducing
camera.
now. Joe Joyce
It's
looking at...
insane that he's only had 15 professional fights. That's mad, isn't it?
Who's
I know,
Joyce?
because I know he was a pro for a really long time and stuff like that, but he needs his world title shot.
A lot of
now,
people, to
especially
be
if he comes
fair,
through
though,
that.
didn't want to fight this guy, you know?
It's true. It's true.
I remember.
And I
when
don't blame him, because seriously...
I remember when he
you
made
guys
it-
were saying earlier on that he doesn't bring a whole lot to the table in terms of money and stuff like that. Who would want to get in there? Who would want to risk their world ranking against a guy like this?
That's why you got to make it mandatory for someone.
That's a fact. I remember when he made his pro debut against. You remember this definitely against Ian Lewison.
Yeah. I know Ian Lewison.
And I thought from that point onwards,
Shout out to Ian Lewis.
he was. I just thought, yeah, this guy's gonna go real far. You know, he
And
showed
Ian
me a lot of
Lewison's a
stuff.
tough hombre, man. Trust me.
He
I know
knocked
that.
him out in the
Tough
first round,
hombre.
and he went 10 rounds with Dylan White. So from that point, I knew, you know, Joe Joyce.
So here they are in the centre of the ring, man. They're both the same size, 6'6". Look at that stare down, man. Look at...
It's getting I can't lie to you. There's only 2 years in them, but they look about 15 years apart.
A lot of people in the comments think Zhang's secretly 50.
What, fake age, yeah?
Yeah, they reckon.
Well, we're about to go. I must admit, there's a little bit of tingle of excitement.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to
Looking
this.
forward to this.
This
as
could
well.
be... Here we go.
Zhang's
Oh,
gone
yeah, he's
centre
taking
ring.
the centre of the ring. Like I said, he's stepping back. Oh, what the hell?
This is going to tell us a lot about their strategies, I think.
Yep.
Zhang's trying to get that centre of the ring. He's
is.
actually pushing Joe Joyce back.
Yeah, he is.
This-
That
That's what
ring
I'm saying.
looks so small.
It does look tiny, doesn't it? Yeah,
There's two behemoths in
fighting
there,
in a,
man.
in a matchbox.
Who's going to land the first meaningful
But
punch?
Loop the overhand left.
This is why, Shane, the southpaw stance is going to make a difference because he's not going to be able to pop off that jab with as much ease.
I'll
Maybe
already
more,
give Zhang some credit. He's the first fighter I've seen to back Joe Joyce up.
good jab, there
got him
you
with
go.
the left.
Great
Yeah.
straight left.
Laurie,
No, but he did.
It's a big shot. It's a knockout blow.
The hand speed is already a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. I can
Very,
see
very
that.
big and
But
very quick hands.
why I'm saying the orthodox, because he's still relatively square, Zhang. He's circling one way. He's not using both angles, so he's not really taking that much of an advantage
He
of a
throws short
southpaw.
punches is the thing. You know, he doesn't have to. He is square, but he throws the short punches, both of them, the straight left and the straight right.
Now
Is going
Joyce
to be
is
the.
trying to get that centre of the ring. There's a little battle there for the centre of the ring.
Yeah,
They
and
both
the
want to.
battle of the
But
football.
Zhang
Zhang's
still,
got it.
he's got it, man.
Oh,
Oh, there you go.
That's a-
landed. Oh,
Hey, he's teeing
he's
him up.
going- Oh,
Like, oh, here he is.
the
Unloading
knockout.
the
He's
pocket.
here
Here we go.
for the
Oh,
knockout.
Zhang! Zhang!
What did I tell you about that right hook, man? That right hook is
We're
there.
all going to owe James
Oh,
some
we
money.
don't need a game.
Oh, my God.
Come on, pay up, boys. Get that Benjamin Franklin out.
Joe Joyce has
his
no
face-
defense.
look at
Oh
his
my
face is
gosh.
all red
Yeah,
already.
it's blooded.
His face
Leeds
is all...
have a better defence than Joe Joyce right now. This is unbelievable.
This is living up to expectation, people.
Look
We
at that,
said
mate.
it.
He's sticking him with the jab, mate.
Oh,
Joyce
good
is
shot by
sitting-
Joyce.
Right hand.
Nah, man, he
Brilliant.
got out of
Brilliant
it.
stuff.
I'll be
Great
actually
movement by
wrong.
Zhang.
I'm gonna stand corrected straight away. The southpaw stance is causing Joe Joyce
Yeah,
issues.
I did say that might be an
Can't
issue.
get punches off
You
that
can't-
easy.
Oh, he got
there
caught
you go,
again.
mate. He's getting suckered in.
Walk-
Remember
That's
we were
straight
saying
left.
the straight right for Joe Joyce.
He's
It's
gone to the
straight
body
left
there as well.
Well,
And he,
Look at that, mate. He's clipping him.
Zhang is doing exactly what we wanted to see Joe
Oh,
Joyce
he
doing.
caught him again.
Literally.
Oh,
Oh, mate.
good counter.
Mate, Joyce is a
Onto
sick
shots.
duck.
He's walking him onto shots. But Zhang has to pace himself though.
Zhang beats AJ based off the last time.
You're lying.
I knew we'd get that at some stage. Zhang
on,
versus AJ next.
Joyce's head movement.
I'll tell you
is
what,
not
this
there.
first round is all Zhang.
It is
all
always
Zhang.
wobbling there. He sent him packing.
Don't forget, boys, we are going to score these rounds as well as we go
We are.
through. so-
Yeah. I already know who I've given this first round.
Well, there's still 20 seconds.
Oh,
Oh, he got
another
caught
great
again.
left.
Big left
Caught
hand.
again.
Another great left.
That was a big left hand. That was the biggest one of the lot. That was a big left hand.
And
He is,
Joe
mate.
Joyce face blooded.
There are a lot of other
Being backed
heavyweights
up.
that would have
He's been backed up.
already hit the canvas at this point.
Fact.
Mate.
I will tell you this now. I can't remember a heavyweight with worse head movement than Joe Joyce.
That's what I mean, mate. I see more movement in a still image.
I'll tell you what a first round that was.
Yeah.
Score this.
I can't believe that. Joe Joyce, his defense is horrible. I already knew that from before the fight started. I did say that, but I didn't expect him to be so up and down.
Well, what a first round, people. That was great. And I've got to say, this fight is living up to expectation already. Zhang came out. He took the center of the ring there. He landed several big left hands. One appeared to shake Joe Joyce momentarily. And I'm not saying he was wobbly, but he definitely buzzed him in that round. Looked like he cut him, or at least bruised him. And Joe Joyce is in a fight. Shane.
It leaves me to question if Joe Joyce is going with this approach, why come in lighter? Because he's not using any movement.
He's not moving, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it's
so-
only round one, innit? So
I think he's underestimated Zhang here. That's what it is.
But I think also, remember, this
Look,
is
that right
it's
hook,
a
man.
great combination.
That right hook's
Left to
underrated.
the body. Right, literally everything that we said that we want to see Joyce
Yeah.
doing with the body shots and everything we're seeing. But bear in mind, this is the weakest part of Joyce's fight. Traditionally, he's really, really poor in the early rounds,
yeah.
and then he'll start to.
And I'll tell you something else. Do you know what this
To learn.
this date, the 15th of April, is significant for?
Tell me.
Rings a
Anyone
bell,
know?
but I need you to educate me.
15th of April 1989, Marvin Hagler versus Thomas Hearns. One of the greatest three, if not the greatest three rounds of boxing ever.
They say the greatest first round of all time. That
Yeah,
wasn't a bad
yeah,
first
yeah.
round.
This
no.
one a bad first round. Are we going to see the same in a second? Joe Joyce looks a
Already
bit
looks
more.
better.
He's establishing his
Already
game
looks
more.
better.
He's
Taking
actually got the center of the ring.
And this is what we spoke about. He's throwing punches.
Oh, but he
not-
got caught again there.
He's
Catching
throwing,
on the way in, innit?
he's throwing punches, not necessarily to hit him, but to stop him from throwing punches.
This is what I was saying before about Zhang.
Constant pressure.
Yeah.
Zhang timing Joe Joyce. And I think that's what he's trying to do. Look, there you saw
He
it
is.
again.
But I think he's tiring as well. You saw in the first round he was just sticking that right arm out, just blocking the jab.
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
you're seeing a lot less activity from him.
It's the mental fatigue
Well, he's got
as
to pace
well.
himself because we know he can't live. Oh,
Great
There you
two-punch
go. He's wobbled
combination.
him. He's wobbled him.
Great
Go on,
two-punch
trade, my
combination.
son.
Now, does he have
Oh
to
my
the
God,
tank?
he's clipped him
Zhang!
again.
He's
He's
hurt.
sent him
He's
back.
Oh!
He's hurting
Joyce
there.
looks wobbled.
Joyce is
back
backing
up.
up. I've never seen
mate.
Joyce.
Get your
backing
wallet
up.
out, my son.
Got to use-
Oh, would you believe it?
He's been rocked.
James is about to
Absolutely
die.
rocked.
What?
Oh,
Absolutely
referee.
rocked.
Is that a stoppage?
What's
No,
the
no,
ref
no, no.
doing?
Standing eight
my
count,
gosh.
surely. Oh.
Joe Joyce is all over the place
He
right
got
now.
wobbled bad. I've never seen him
did.
hurt like that.
If it stays
looks like a
if it
drunk
stays
man
like
on
this,
stilts.
if it stays like this,
Oh,
Joyce is going to
again.
lose.
This is a great.
Oh,
Oh,
my son.
It could be over.
Is
It
it
could be
no
over.
man's land?
Joe Joyce has no defense. I'm so sorry.
Oh
no
my
defense.
God.
this is amazing what we're seeing here.
He's moving slower than he was in the first round.
Even
at this
James
moment.
didn't predict this.
Joyce.
I told you, man. I told you, man. This is the big bang in action.
But will he keep it up though? Here comes Joyce back.
Yeah, but look at those are slow punches, man. There's no power in that. Zhang's
No, but
eating them for breakfast.
it's not so much hurting him, but it's tiring Zhang though. Because
yeah.
Zhang
He has to
He's
keep
just
his hands
sucking it
up.
up,
The more he has
man.
to keep his hands up, the more tired he's going to
and
get.
also you can tell, these spurts are going to take a bit out of Zhang as well because he's
We
loading
told
up
you
on
people that
shots.
this is going to be a good fight.
Blood coming from the
Blood.
nose
Oh,
of
I know,
Joe
really?
Joyce.
Really good left
Streaming
hand.
from the nose of Joyce. So
The
it's gonna
fans,
take
the fans
energy out of
look
him.
absolutely stunned.
Laurie said the fans are going to win today.
Yeah,
He might
and
be
they-
right.
Well, I said that there's 17% of highly intellectual people out there that are going to win.
That is
also.
a really good left hand.
Why did I not put a bet on this? That's my question. Why I put
you
10
bet
pounds
us.
on it? It would have been better
Question-
odds elsewhere, but
The question is, how much can he take of this type of punishment? Which is, he's taken big shots before, but this is the most
but he
rock.
hasn't
left
taken
hand.
the big
Not Big Bang Zhang.
And you know what? Some of those punches don't even look like they've landed flush.
Yeah.
Like some of them
He carries a lot of power.
He's
He's got that David Price power.
yeah.
I think this ref's
That's a
had a
good
bit
His
of a
power.
shock.
quicker.
Yeah.
His hand speed is quicker,
Yeah.
though. That's the thing. That's another good round for Zhilei Zhang.
I tell you what, no matter what happens, Zhang is having the absolute time of his life. He jogs back to his corner, big smile, laughing. He's not even sitting down in the corner.
I can
He's
see
just,
whatever happens in this fight. I know what everyone's going to say. Zhang versus AJ next. Look at that.
AJ will not
Well,
fight
it would
Zhang.
have been if he didn't get robbed in his last fight.
Zhang will put AJ in a spliff in 2 rounds.
no,
he nearly went down.
Don't say that,
100%.
He nearly went down.
I
The
know.
man with the so-called best chin in boxing. He nearly
Only
went.
And I remember what people were saying. Oh, he would imagine him versus Wilder, and could he take a punch against Wilder?
The eyes
Wilder's
closing up.
different. Wilder's a different level of power, though, isn't he?
What's that?
If Wilder were to land them shots against Joyce, it's over.
But Zhang throws short punches, Wilder throws wide punches. Joyce would have more time to deal with it,
I'm
but
just saying-
but
they
just
say-
on the chin basis. Yeah. No,
They-
100%.
They were
yeah.
saying that he would be able to eat a Wilder shot, and I'm
Yeah.
like, well, he's getting rocked by this. So
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but don't
The
underestimate
comments are
Zhang,
very
man.
excited about this, saying this is a madness.
Yeah,
Hope
madness.
he gets flattened. LOL, 17% gang.
The question is now, what's the strategy? Do you use your legs to move away, or do you go in? He goes right back in and tries
Right
to
back
fight.
in, and that's a
I
good-
don't know. I
I'd
don't
suggest
know
he
what
uses
the
his
doctor
legs
did.
here and try to tire him out.
One thing I would say, he's made a decent start to this round.
Definitely, but
He's
Zhang,
backing him up.
Zhang
But this is
isn't
what Zhang
first,
does.
though.
No,
He
but-
hasn't been first. He's been trying to counter on a back foot, so
Yeah,
he can
look,
walk
he's-
onto something again, Joe Joyce. He has to be very
Yeah, I
smart.
don't think this is the right strategy here. I would have him move in. I'd have him boxing off the back foot and try
Not the
and break
best
Zhang.
strategy.
Wait
for
until
who?
the second half of the fight.
Nah, mate. Joyce
eyes-
has wobbled. He's wobbled, man.
His eyes are swollen.
So we're
as
talking
well.
about pressure,
I've
under
never
pressure.
seen Joe Joyce look like this before. Wobbled, discombobulated.
Oh, that's a
Hurt to
really
the
good
body
body
there.
shot.
There you go.
Really good body shot.
Zhang
there.
buries
Oh,
AJ, 100%.
the accuracy of Zhang. That's what's doing it, people.
Another
Look at
left
that.
hand.
Oh,
Great
that's
left
really
hand.
Look at his right
That
eye.
overhand
Look at his
left.
right eye. Look
That
at
left
his
hand is crazy. I'd love to have seen Zhang versus Prime David Price. That would have been a great fight.
Price
think
is
Zhang
getting
would have
knocked
knocked him out.
because Price has got no chin.
Yeah.
Look at Joe Joyce's eye. It's
Mate.
already swelling.
It is. And his nose as well, bleeding that much. That's going to
Tell you
take
one
it
thing
out
about
of him
Joe
as the
Joyce.
round's gone.
Tremendous toughness and heart.
But
Absolutely.
You speak
Taking
about
those-
More hard
AJ.
than Kevin.
What a good body
He's
shot.
just been rocked by a body shot there, and he started to. His legs look like they're going to go. One or two.
Never mind
clean
AJ. I
punches.
want to see Zhang versus Fury.
Yeah, 100%. Why not? Honestly, at this point, why not?
What the thing
Joe
is,
Joyce coming back.
yeah,
Yeah,
he
he
is.
is, man.
He's starting to apply
He's
pressure.
starting to apply the pressure. Zhang
And Zhang's
clubs
starting
up.
to
He's
slow
got the
down a
earmuffs
bit.
up.
The thing is, it doesn't matter though, because Joe Joyce is going to need to land so much more significant punches than Zhang is to get him out of there.
No, I don't know. Zhang's looking
Zhang's
like he's
starting to get a
tiring
bit
right now,
tired, though.
unfortunately.
Oh, what
great
an
punch.
uppercut.
Great uppercut.
He's got those little cute punches.
Yeah, the
inside,
short
isn't he?
shots. It's quick and
Guys who
sharp.
hold power but throw short punches are
Don't
an
forget,
absolute
don't forget,
nightmare.
Zhang is a former Olympic silver medalist. This guy can box.
And when you're talking
right,
about AJ, the only thing I would say in AJ's
Joyce
favour,
having a better round.
he's not as reckless as Joe Joyce offensively.
Hmm.
Like Joe Joyce is just straight up and down.
You know what? Joe
True.
Joyce's
Like a
tactics in this
lamppost.
fight appears to be to
Spank.
Another
overwhelm
great
Zhang.
counter.
He's throwing more punches than
Another
he's
great
the one
counter.
getting overwhelmed right now.
Zhang is
Walking
countering
him onto shots all
not
day.
everything, but he's countering a lot. He's having to.
Oh!
Look at that,
Another
mate.
great
That's
counter.
that's 4 left hooks in about 10 seconds he's landed there.
That counter left hook is a nightmare.
He's trying to wear him down and obviously get
But
him
he's
tired.
Do you not think that he's throwing more punches than he has to? If you see what, if that
Who?
makes
Who's
sense.
Joe Joyce?
Yeah,
I think that maybe
that's why he's getting
He's
countered.
panicking.
But
He's
that's
panicking.
the thing. He's panicking. That first round has absolutely overwhelmed him.
His ring generalship in this fight hasn't been that great neither as Joe Joyce. You know, he's looked like a beaten fighter. He's trying to search for something.
You know Zhang hits hard, not just from the marks on Joyce's face, but from Joyce's reaction. His
yeah.
reaction tells you this guy hits
And you
absolutely
can get
hard.
rid of him before he
Great
hits
round,
with something
another
I
again.
haven't seen Joyce step back like that. I really haven't.
No, he got rocked. He got absolutely rocked. I think I know who won that round.
Rocked more than Chris.
I might be inclined to give Joyce that round on work rate, but he's still got rocked a few times. It's a close one. But
It's
hey,
very debatable.
I don't want to,
Nah, I got my scorecard. You can't really change my mind.
No, I'm not trying to do that. But this is where I now start to see Joyce.
Frailties.
No, start to see Joyce making an impression because it's the 4th round now.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Zhang's thrown a lot of punches. He's received a lot of punches. He's probably blowing out his backside already. Let's see how he gets on in the 4th round.
I wonder because you said he's.
But he doesn't look that tired though.
You said he's throwing more punches than he usually does. I wonder if Joyce is going to feel the pace, maybe because he's taken a lot of shots as well.
His eyes closing. He's got a contusion in the middle of both eyes there,
and his nose bleeding as well. That'll affect breathing.
He looks a bit beat up, man.
I will say about this as well with Zhang. He's got a really good high guard. That catch and count has been amazing. That catch and count is amazing.
This is what I was saying to you guys before. He doesn't need to match the work rate of Joyce. He needs to time him. There you go.
Walk him onto shots. That catch and count is there all day. That backhand left's there all day.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Joyce has just got
Good
such
right
slow
hand.
hands. Unbelievably slow hands.
Look
the
how
crowd
long
are trying
it
to
takes.
cheer him for
how-
anything he does.
Look how long it takes for him to bring his hand from here to here.
It's insane.
This is a very good
Yeah,
pace.
good start. I mean, Zhang is starting to slow down his output a little bit.
Yeah, Joyce is going to need variety because Zhang's so good at countering and timing punches, timing the counters. He needs to show some variety so he doesn't become too predictable. Just the basic jab.
Zhang doesn't really jab much, does he? Just
No.
Oh, that's
It's
where
the
he's
straight
dangerous.
left. It's the straight left.
It's that counter left, isn't it?
It's a great shoulder defense.
You see him looking for it.
No.
Zhang really
And
throws
now
a jab.
he's starting to use the clinch as well. He's starting to try and use
really
his weight
He
on.
needs to use it a little bit more, though. I would
Yeah.
use it a little bit more. Brilliant.
But he's
Straight
look,
left.
he's getting hit with that
Brilliant.
straight left, and he's stepping back every time.
Yeah, once he gets
Every
that
time
timing.
he throws it,
The problem. It's another left. That time wasn't even a counter. He just picked his
literally,
moment.
it's a lead left hand. He's getting caught with backhand lefts, literally at mid to long range. It's horrible.
Diallo's, thanks for the super chat. He says, my first time watching Joyce. He's looking fugazi. Oh, he got caught by a big
what
left.
a shot.
Yes.
And that one hurt him,
He did.
This reminds me of
Right
the
down
Joyce.
to the pipe. And again.
This is like the
Mate,
Joyce
and again.
clip.
And again.
It's like
Right
Joyce
hook.
Dubois, but
The
backwards.
right hook is the secret weapon.
Another left hook. He should not go to the body at this moment in time. Definitely do not go to the body
don't
right now.
trade body shots
All of a
with
sudden,
headshots, definitely
James's
not.
prediction started.
Yeah,
to
you
look-
call me crazy. You call me delusional.
What happens
Well,
in the
guess
Tank
what?
Davis fight now?
You're damn right, exactly. Maybe you should listen to me more.
Maybe Leeds win the Premier League.
Oh, that was a
Great
good
right
shot
hand
by
from
Joyce. This is a great fight.
It was, but there's no power in it. He's zapped.
You know, if I'm Zhang, yeah, I'll be trying to steal rounds. You know, we
Yeah, just
fight
put- yeah,
for the
yeah.
last minute of a fight or something
No,
like
I
that.
think his tactics at the moment are perfect.
Yeah, he's got it.
Yeah, but
spot
as
on.
the fight goes on, you're gonna start to.
No, but he's not going to win on points, bro.
Big
No, but
credit-
he's gonna get tired.
He's,
so he's gonna have to
he's
pick
actually
his
winning on
moments.
points right now. Well, I have been winning on points at least right now.
Big credit
Look
to his
at Joe
coach.
Joyce's eye, though. He's,
Big credit to his coach.
and I'll tell
there.
you something else. With that eye being swollen like that, he's
Yeah, it
probably
could
not
get
going to see that punch coming
No,
up.
Could
he's
also
not.
get stopped if
Yeah.
there's too much blood. If it swells up, it could end up getting stopped. Could be
He's
a
getting a
TKO.
lot of punches.
Oh!
in his
Another
on the
left.
chin. Another one.
Clean,
That
and
another one.
again, and
Another
again.
Right
one.
hand, lovely stuff.
No
this is
defense.
great
mean,
boxing.
I mean, you know what? You say
And
he
Zhang
can't win
is
on
great
points.
boxing.
Did you see what Zhang did when he went back to his corner a minute
He's
ago?
laughing.
What else
Yeah.
do I have to do?
Looked like he was saying to his corner, look, we got it.
Also, we're talking about his stamina and his engine. He started to throw those lefts and catch him from his waist. He's not even throwing them from up high
And
anymore.
he's not even countering. He's leading with the
This is
backhand. Just
insane.
bam.
It's a great performance.
All
from
I'm
Zhang.
saying is, you're saying that he can't win on points. Some people may arguably have him 4 rounds to 0 right now, and if he
Sounds
wins
like
the
you-
next
sounds
2,
like you have.
well, I'm not saying that necessarily, but you know, some judges may have it.
I will say this though, Joyce, he needs to do something about the defense. Whether it's deploy a better high guard or slipping off the line or do something. Right now, he's just up and down.
There you go. Look, 4 to 0.
Mind
If he
you,
gets
as-
2 more, he's
That's
halfway
Richie
there.
Waddle's card. That's not mine. And
That's
that's
not
not
mine.
yours. Or maybe it is
Or
yours.
maybe
I
it is. You don't know.
Yeah.
We'll find
I
out.
do think it's a mixture of Zhang getting his tactics absolutely spot on, fair play to his coach, and Joyce getting his tactics absolutely incorrect.
wrong. Completely wrong. Because if he was going to go with this way of fighting, I would have just been...
No, I don't know. But like I said, man,
Heavier.
Zhang
Oh,
earned his
Zhang's
respect
calling
early.
him on. Did you see that? Zhang's saying, come on. He's very comfortable.
Growing in
there.
confidence.
Oh!
The thing.
Great sneaky uppercut. That's a great sneaky uppercut. Oh my
I don't
God.
think Joe Joyce has actually got Zhang's respect with his punch power yet. I'm not even going
No,
to
he
lie.
hasn't.
I agree. He hasn't landed anything significant
No, he
enough.
hasn't.
Exactly like the Cambosis fight. Came out, got his respect instantly. And
That's a good
I
point.
hate nothing more than when James is right about things.
There he is.
He's getting hit by every punch.
He's leading
Every
it.
single
He's
punch he's
leading
getting
with
hit
it.
by.
He's leading with the left hand and he's still landing it.
We could throw a punch from here and it could hit Joe Joyce.
People, forgive us if we're sounding overly excited, but trust me, this is another good shot. Joyce is wobbled by that one.
This is.
I'm telling you what,
Fights of
he's in
2023.
danger of getting stopped. I'm
The
telling
eye
you.
is really swelling. Oh yeah, that's a big shot. That is a
Every shot
big
is
left hand.
landing.
What Nick
Almost
said,
every single shot is
every
landed.
big shot he throws has landed in this round.
It doesn't have to be big. It just is landing.
And
every
Zhang
shot.
looks like he's enjoying himself.
He can't see out of that left.
He's
that
licking
left.
his chops.
This is the difference between good fighters and great
Oh,
fighters.
nice
Another
one.
great left.
He's on his last legs here.
You know what? You're right, Laurie. He can't see out of that left
Yeah,
hand,
man,
left
he's
eye,
getting
right eye.
nailed every
You
time.
can't see out of that
To
right
be
eye.
fair to him, look, he's getting pieced up. He's hurt.
Oh,
but
he
he's
got
still
caught
throwing.
again.
He's still throwing.
Zhang is making sure he hits that eye no matter what. In any direction, any way that he can, he's going to hit that eye.
And you know what it is, people? It's not just, if you notice, Zhang is not loading up with the shots.
No, it's just
He's
shorts.
just accurate.
The doctor will stop it. The doctor will. I think this fight could be beyond Joe Joyce now because if
That
it keeps
eye,
hitting, the eye
Joe
swelling
Joyce's
up.
left, is it?
Right eye. His right eye is really purple under the eye. He can't open it. The
And
doctor will end up closing
He
it.
can't see when the left hand's coming. That's
Exactly.
why he's getting caught every time.
Yeah.
Like
Look
he's
at
got
Zhang,
no
clever
peripheral.
defense in there.
Doctor's probably going to have to
Shoulder
take a
roll.
look.
Zhang's on the shoulder roll, man.
He's been doing the shoulder defense for a
But
couple
there's no
rounds
power.
now.
So I mean, Joyce doesn't have the power.
This guy's got him out looking like Prime Floyd.
I think the doctor will have to take a look at that eye between
He's-
this round in
Look at
particular.
that shoulder roll, bro.
Literally, he's in the he's more skilled than I
It's a
give him
Shackle
credit for.
Stevenson style.
Then there are little head clashes in there as well with that eye being all swollen. It's a really dangerous situation for
This is
Joyce
what
here.
Shackle Stevenson needs to do to make his fights more entertaining.
Do you know what though? You brought up a good point of Zhang throwing from the hip. I think that's also making it harder for Joyce because he doesn't have a peripheral out of the eye. So when it's coming from up there, he's actually seeing it last minute.
Exactly.
Credit to Zhang and his team. They've got their tactics perfect.
He's looking like a
As I said before, he's not looking to match Joe Joyce for work rate. He's looking for the holes, and he's countering him, and he's doing it brilliantly. There you go again,
And there's
see?
more holes than a waffle in this guy's game
And
right
he,
now.
oh, that's
can't
another
even
great
cap,
round
bro.
for Zhang.
I'm not even gonna lie, like this is not looking positive.
Well, my prediction for us,
So, what do you want? PayPal, Cash App,
Bro,
cash?
it's looking mad
What-
right
what,
now. Still, I can't even cap, bro.
What are we talking here?
This is stress.
I'll tell you what, unless something dramatic happens, man,
It's gonna be
it's not looking
it's
good
mad.
for Joe Joyce right
It's
now.
mad. It's mad. It's already more competitive than I thought it would be. I
Oh
can't
man,
lie.
listen, I said 6-round stoppage to Joe Joyce. If he's going to do that, because the 6
You're
rounds
gonna have to
coming up,
knock him out now.
yeah, he's going to, and I don't see it, to be honest.
Joe Joyce needs the big bang to actually happen to have a chance of
We
winning
got a
this
poll
fight.
up, guys. Can Joe Joyce mount a comeback? Let us know what you think.
I mean, he's not
Already-
looking very positive.
Already, 71% of you, 73 now, saying no.
I mean, he can't
It's
breathe out.
starting
Of,
to look forlorn for him, man. He looks beat up in there.
he can't breathe out of his nose.
And Zhang, I'm looking at Zhang, he's not blowing. Well, he's blowing a little bit, but not like,
Oh gosh.
oh, here we go. The referee's having a look.
Oh,
And Nick's not even here.
oh my God, is he going to call it? No, I don't want it to end like this.
Oh,
Oh my God, look at his
This
other
could
one
be
as well.
it.
I think this is.
oh, he's having another look.
No, don't
no,
end
he's
it like
calling
this,
it in.
please.
He's probably going to give him a certain.
He's
amount
giving
of
them.
time.
I reckon
They're
he's got
starting to
one
fight
more
again.
round.
One more
man.
round. He's probably got one more round. Guys at home, let us know because you can hear volume. We have no volume, so let us know if they're
The referee looked close to stopping, actually.
literally.
Look, I've got to give credit to Joyce.
They're going to
He's
see
still
some
firing here.
urgency in
He's still
Joyce.
sitting in
Whoa,
the
what
pocket.
a left hand straight down the pipe.
And again, good body shots by Zhang.
You know
He's
what?
been a
There's no
revelation.
step-
he
stepping back
has
in Joyce.
he has managed this fight perfectly,
He has.
Zhang.
He has. Perfect tactics.
Because now he's holding his feet in the center of the ring. He knows that Joyce don't really want to bang with him because the shots he's landed is terrific. Oh, what a short shot there.
I think I underestimated the hand speed of Zhang as well.
The doctor had a look at Joe Joyce in
A
between.
close look as well.
Yeah.
I knew that you would. He had to.
He looked like he was saying to me, one more round.
Yeah, 100%. You'd have to. Save
Zhang
him for
looks a
another
bit
day.
tired in this round now.
Yeah, he
I've got to
does.
say.
But when he's holding his feet in the pocket, it's a smart thing to do. You don't want to move and waste
Yeah,
energy.
he's got the earmuffs up and he's waiting.
With that power and with that eye, he just needs 2 or 3 clean punches,
Yeah.
and
and
then
power's
that's
the
it.
last thing to go, you know, even
Yeah.
when you're
Well,
tired.
you know what's impressed me? He's
What
not.
a
Oh,
brilliant-
He's,
Oh, there we go. It's private time. That's it.
It's looking like it's over. Oh my gosh.
I think if you're the referee, you're looking at that and you're thinking, boy, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I tell you what, Joe Joyce is so lucky that Zhang doesn't have better feet because he was done.
Oh, he's having another
he's
look.
having another
This
look.
could be
Doctor's
it.
getting called over.
I reckon this
Oh
is
my
it.
God.
Yeah, I think it should
I
be.
reckon it's it.
I
it
think
should
this
be.
is over.
Keep it going,
I
man.
think this is
The
over.
referee looks like he wants to stop it.
You said six. You said.
I
eighth
said
round.
6th round to Joyce, but it's 6th round to
Yeah.
Zhang.
No,
The
it's
referee,
over.
the
It's
referee
over.
looks to me like he wants it stopped. He's calling the
It's
doctor
over.
over.
It's
but
over.
Oh, that right eye is.
He's probably his
Can't see
cheekbones.
anything.
checking,
down.
he's checking, he can see.
Said,
I reckon. No, he stopped
he's
it.
got it wrong.
He's
He
going to
stopped
stop it.
He
It's
stopped
done.
It's-
He's
oh,
going
no.
to stop
gonna
it.
stop it.
He's stopping it.
He said to the ref, it's up to
He
you.
stopped it.
It's over.
He stopped it.
He's
Wow.
out of
He
there. He's out of
stopped
there.
it.
Give me
Wow.
my money, baby. Mate,
Fair play.
Zhang,
Wow.
heavyweight
Zhang.
Fair play
champion.
to Zhang.
Unbelievable.
This is unbelievable.
Everyone in
An
the chat said he
absolute-
was 50. It didn't matter, blood. He landed 50
Masterclass.
left hooks on,
You know
on
like
Joyce's
that?
eye, bro.
Hey, where are
That's
my
mad.
17% gang at? Where are my brothers and sisters?
Yeah, if you're one of the
A time
17%,
to
then
rejoice.
type it in the chat.
He said when he come here he was going to bang everything, and he looks like he has.
He just screamed Chinese power into
I
the
can't
camera.
cut-
He's
yeah.
got it.
I don't mind being wrong. That was entertaining. I can't
Hey, listen,
even lie.
man.
Chat shit,
I'm
get
going to
Zhang.
say I was half right.
Oh, don't do this. Don't do
Get
this.
out of here.
Don't do
James,
this.
Hey,
James is the man. Look,
thank
look
you.
at that.
Thank you.
You're still not.
100% success
funniest
rate.
thing is-
Every fight I've called has come off.
He said he had a feeling, like he had a.
No,
strange
he,
feeling.
I
no,
told
no,
you.
No. He did say
Knock
he
him
was
out.
gonna win.
Yeah.
I did.
I don't know where you got that feeling from, but
I
No,
can
that
see
is-
it in his eyes, man. You can just see the big bang. This guy is going all the way to the top, mate.
Zhang is. You know what? I feel good for Zhang. You know why? Because he got robbed against Ergovic.
He did.
And he's come over to London tonight and he's put on a masterclass.
So
and
now
he
you're back
deserves his
on
win.
the you're back on the
Family's getting ballistic, or
because you said he wasn't robbed earlier.
No, I said he thought he should have won, but it was less of a robbery when I watched it the second time round.
this.
But this tonight
Well,
is
it
amazing.
actually goes back to my earlier question. We were all saying if Joyce wins this convincingly, does he
Yeah,
deserve a heavyweight
yeah,
shot?
exactly.
Zhang has absolutely
Hey,
dispatched of him.
I'm going to say it
with
now
ease.
before you say it. Zhang, I want Zhang versus AJ next. It's got to
that's
be.
exciting
What do you
fight.
reckon?
4 rounds.
No, but that's the fight we want. right?
100%.
I'll be
100%.
honest,
I don't
yeah,
know, I'm
but this
scared.
should show you. This should show you though how like flaky the division is. You know,
Yes.
one defeat, and all of a sudden we're talking about another fighter being prime.
Well, you
for-
don't want to see a rematch of this, do
No,
you?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying one defeat.
He's saying it's
Joe
so
Joyce
open.
Was, yeah, Joe
Oh, I
Joyce
see,
was
right, yeah,
supposed
yeah,
to be
yeah,
that next dude. Then one loss, bang, Zhang's that dude. So that's what I'm saying. You know,
I'd love to see Zhang versus AJ. Remember last time when we watched AJ Franklin and you guys said to me AJ Joyce, and I said I think he needs to go down potentially even further, and you said even further. But there are people down there that I think could still beat AJ. Genuinely, I think if depending on
I
the style
think
of
Joe
fight.
Joyce beats Zhang. I mean, Anthony Joshua beats Zhang, but I would love to see that.
Put it
I
in
don't
the
know,
I'd love
comments.
to see that.
Hold your fire. Put it in the comments. We're all talking about it now. We want to know what the people out there think. Who should be Zhang's next opponent?
That's a dangerous fight for AJ, man.
Should it be AJ? I'd love to see that.
I'd love to
Or
see
should
that
he
as well.
shoot straight for a world title fight? Because this was an eliminator. So should he get Usyk or Fury?
Well, Fury probably won't fight Usyk. Usyk might have to fight Dubois. So, I mean, the shot is open for Zhang, and I think he deserves it.
I
Everything
think
he's
Zhang
done.
stands a better chance against Fury than he does against Usyk.
Is this
Oh, yeah,
the
that's a
upset of the
fact.
year so far in boxing?
I don't know, man.
Not for
I don't-
you, 'cause you
look, man,
predicted it.
us 17%, we could see it coming from a mile away. It was the
17%
easiest thing
crew.
to predict ever.
Someone-
I wouldn't call it an
someone-
upset.
For me, it's the upset of the year so far.
more than Sebastian
100%.
Fondora.
Yes.
Getting
yeah,
knocked
yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was young.
Listen, man,
No.
Joe Joyce was on a fast track to the world title. Everyone's you
Yeah.
in the cup. No way, knockout. Come on, bro.
Nah.
To
but-
me, this is the upset of the year so
but-
far in boxing.
Well, if not AJ, then sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, go
man.
ahead.
If not AJ, what for Zhang? Like what?
Tyson Fury.
I
Tyson
mean,
Fury.
this was a title eliminator, right?
This was eliminated for.
then
a
yeah,
title.
then I think he should get a a shot at a title.
He should get a shot.
That's what's-
I do have to say, though, I think that is a risky game for AJ to take this fight.
He's beating him in the
AJ
amateurs.
I think AJ beats Zhang.
I think he beats him, but I think it's a risky game.
tell you what.
If Zhang can get close, if he can take center of the ring and trade in
And
the
that's coming
pockets,
from the AJ Sim.
it is. And I don't know, man.
He's a Zhang
I'm
Sim.
scared.
It's changed.
Yeah,
I don't know,
change your
Zhang.
Sim.
The thing
Look,
is,
I still think AJ's the best heavyweight in the
He's
game.
still a Sim. But are you AJ Sim or you're Zhang Sim?
I'm just admiring greatness as I see it.
We have a poll in the chat
I
for
am
what is
witnessing
next
greatness.
for Zhang. So you can put. I think we've got Usyk, Fury, AJ. We've got a couple people in there.
I
So you
think
can put-
Usyk will be the worst person.
Yeah.
I think
to
Usyk
fight.
would be the worst. Yeah.
Worst person because
Also, the least money. He's going to get. If you're Zhang, man, that is him fight. And don't forget, they got history because AJ beat him in 2012 when AJ went on to win the Olympic gold medal.
Yeah.
He fought Zhang in the quarterfinals and he beat him.
I'll say this: if AJ gets hit with them shots that Joe Joyce got hit, it's over.
To me, AJ's got a better defense than that.
Way
Yeah, but
Does he have the
worse
same
chin.
level of punch resistance?
Yeah, he's got a way worse chin.
No, but I think he's more responsible. He ain't gonna be so up and down, straight down the middle. Joe Joyce had literally, he was just reckless, just standing
I
right
do
in the middle.
think because somebody in the chat said like these guys know nothing about boxing. Zhang only won because the eye closed, but you can't dismiss.
So
You
what?
can't dismiss
the eye
did
all
the
of the
eye get
work.
closed?
You can't dismiss all the work
How
that
did
happened
the eye
up
get
until the
closed?
point that the eye got closed. And so I do think that I said it.
You know, I'm
I said
going to
it in
give him
round-
that Roger Mayweather award. Who is it? Who is that?
He's
guy?
one of
He
the
didn't just
commenters,
walk
I don't
in and
know,
then his eye he just started blinking.
Literally,
and
there wasn't even a
again,
head clash or anything. I don't know
It's
what
a
that guy's
question of
talking about.
it's a question of styles make fights, which we say all the time. But you know, the style that Joe Joyce went with today is just it was a huge mistake. And AJ, to your point, wouldn't fight that same style.
No
so maybe
way.
that's why he stands a chance. But Joyce should have used his legs and got on his
Of
bike a
course
little
he
bit.
should have, especially early. Get it to the later rounds of the fight and try get this guy gassed and tired.
And especially after he felt his power and said, actually, I don't like that. If that wasn't the game plan in the first place, that should have been the game plan after he felt the power and
AJ
said, I
has
don't like that at all.
46% votes so far. I reckon. I kind of agree with you guys. I would love to see AJ fight.
AJ Zhang.
If you're Eddie Hearn, you don't want no part of this.
No,
guy.
he doesn't. But I
But
think
if you
AJ
don't want
still
any
has
part
a
of
route
this
away from
guy
him.
for AJ, then who do you
Not
think?
for his
You want
next
Tyson
fight.
Fury?
They're gonna want Dillian. I told you.
No, he wants Fury, man. He wants
No,
the
he
money.
doesn't.
Of course, he wants the money. While the
what about
money's there.
Dylan versus Zhang?
Dylan versus Zhang will be entertaining.
Zhang
Be
will
entertaining.
Also, the press
It would be
conference would be great.
entertaining.
But to be fair, Zhang don't throw any uppercuts. It's just straight. So maybe
That's a good point, actually. Yeah.
I know what Joe Joyce is going to say without me even saying it. He's going to give credit because he is a humble man, classy guy. He's going to give credit to Zhang, but I bet he's going to want a rematch. But if they fight again, I can't see no different.
I could see a difference if he changes his style. He has
He's
the
not
foot-
going to change it. He's
But then-
37
then-
years
well,
old.
I'm
He's
just,
not gonna
I'm
change his
just,
style.
I'm just saying. I could see a different outcome, but it would require
Can
a lot
you?
of. It would require a lot of change
I'll
of style.
be honest with you though, and I guess I'm saying this to myself, retro.
Apparently, there's a
obviously
rematch
retroactively
clause. Thanks,
speaking.
Yash, for letting us
But
know.
for me, I don't actually feel like, especially myself, should be actually surprised because I've always seen the defensive frailties in.
Come on, Shane. I'm not going to let you
No,
get
no,
away.
wait,
You,
wait.
you said
Let
he
me-
was
you-
going to outgun
finish
him,
what- let me finish
outclass
what-
him.
finish what I was
You
gonna
were,
say.
out of all of us, you were the most.
You actually put money on the line. So I actually need to collect that. How am I getting that? by the way?
That's cool. That's fine. But let me finish what I was gonna say. I said, why should I'm surprised that he had, because he's always had the defensive frailties. So
Yeah, but we thought he'd
should've-
walk through him.
me included. I thought so. But when you look back at it, he's always had these defensive holes. You know, he's always had it.
But I've never seen Joe Joyce hurt like that.
But
He
he's
nearly
never-
went a couple of times.
But how many? Parker's not a big puncher. Bryant Jennings ain't really a big puncher. Carlos Takam isn't a big puncher. Zhang is probably the biggest puncher he's been in there with.
No, but Zhang, I would say, is one of the biggest punchers. They don't call him the Big Bang for nothing, as
They
you
don't.
see.
And that was one of his career best performances, Zhang. He
Don't
turned
forget,
up
he had
when he needed
Ergovic
to.
over as well.
Yeah.
It's
He
also
did, but
great about.
he stuck it more. I think his fitness and his cardio in this fight was a lot more impressive than it was in the
was.
Hrgovic fight.
Yeah.
You know
Very
why? And I did say this when I went through my keys to victory. I said, pace in the fight. Don't try and match Joe. If you notice, he wasn't trying to match Joe Joyce's output.
No.
The tactics was, we know we're not going to match him for the work rate, so tuck up. He will give you opportunities. When you get the opportunities, take it.
To be fair, I think he did. He did in the first round. The first round, he was a lot more active. I think he found a lot of success. And then as a result of that, second round, third round, Joyce suddenly was like, okay, I'm not going to allow him to do this to me anymore. He started to try and step on the gas more. As he did that, he left more and more gaps for Zhang to pick at. So I think it was a perfectly executed game plan. I think he thought, let me stick the pressure on him early on, take the center of the ring, try and establish my game, and once I've got a bit of a lead and Joyce suddenly respects my punch power and he's going to try and open up against me, then he's going to pick his time, pick his punches.
What about this one? What about this one? Let me ask you this. Do you think that Joyce underestimated Zhang? Because let's face it, he was talking before about AJ, don't want to fight him. I want Fury, I want Usyk. Do you think he kind of took his eye off the ball a little bit?
Yeah, I do. I think a lot of people
Zhang would be easy. I mean, let's face it, we underestimated Zhang. We knew Zhang was a good fighter, but none of us predicted. Well, you did. None of us predicted. None of us three. Do you think that Joyce was a little bit guilty, perhaps, of sort of reading his own headlines a little bit and thinking ahead rather than...
No, I don't think it's that. I think it comes down to, as you said, that's why you said if they were to rematch, I don't think there's going to be much difference. Because I do feel like a lot of the frailties we saw today has been embedded in the game of Joyce. And Zhang had a perfect game plan. He knew that because of those defensive frailties, I'm going to be patient and pick my spots to land those shots. And I have trust in my power that when I do land those shots, it's going to take enough damage on Joyce, which I feel like if they were to run it back and they were to have the same tactics and the same game plan, I can't see it going any different because Joyce just can't get better defensively. You know, he can be less reckless, but, you know, it was very, very, very... you know, a poor performance from
It's
Joyce.
interesting, now, isn't it? All these people now going after Joyce, saying he's been fighting bums, he's B-Tech, basically doing that thing. See, this is why, right? And to be fair to Joyce, I hope it doesn't happen with Joyce. This is why a lot of boxers do this thing where they try so hard to hold on to their O, because he's lost tonight. And all of a sudden, in the comments,
he's crap.
Bum, he's crap. He's been fighting bums, and this people don't realise that when they do this type of thing, they force a lot of boxers to go into their shell. That's why they're all trying to protect their records. They don't want to risk anything. You know what I mean? This was a great fight tonight. I wouldn't mind seeing this again.
I think it's both ways. Sorry to stop you. Sorry to stop you, but I think it's. The reason why people think that so much is because for the history of time, there's been so many boxers that have padded up their records without losses. As a result of that, people are seeing so many fighters with undefeated records that when they see them finally take that loss, that is the reason why they overreact and suddenly say they're a bum. So I think it goes both ways with it.
Got a super chat here from LFC Rico. He says Wilder versus Zhang. That would be a great fight, by the way. Rico says Wilder will win by KO. I'm not so sure, bro.
I think he could be right. I mean,
he could be right, but he could be wrong.
I think he could be right. Yeah, it's an interesting one. But Zhang's real danger is up close with those wild haymakers that Wilder throws. Does actually fight at a bit of a distance. I think Wilder definitely, if he lands, KOs him.
Who is in you guys' top 5 now in the division?
Zhang's got to be in there.
Zhang, yeah.
Because before, everyone was talking about Joyce as the boogeyman.
But was Joyce in you guys' top 5 before? Going back to the same conversation, he was in your top 5 before.
Was,
okay.
I would actually make the argument that based on those, because I thought he beat Hrgovic, and now the performance against Joyce, I actually think that puts him in the top 5.
Yep.
I can't name 5 heavyweights right now who has a better resume than Zhang. If
justice was done,
justice was done and he beat Hrgovic and the win over Joyce, how many people have better resumes than Zhang in the top 5? I mean, you can argue Usyk and Fury, obviously. You can argue AJ, obviously. Wilder. I mean, how many others? Maybe Dylan White, but then Dylan White got not. No, but I mean, in terms of
he's just looking for.
I'm just trying to come up with names. No, I'm just saying.
We all like Dylan, man, but let's be honest, man. Dylan, he can't talk to Zhang right now.
I'm just saying.
They do speak different languages, to be fair.
In terms of wins, like in terms of who
I know
they
what you're
actually
saying,
No,
beat.
but what's Dylan done recently to warrant a top 5?
He's not saying Dylan. He's just saying who else.
What names can you come up with?
Who else is there?
In
He's saying
general.
Zhang. He's
There
saying
isn't.
Zhang's in
Okay.
the top. Yeah.
What
I'll tell you,
names can you say?
There isn't a name.
There isn't.
a name.
He's got to be in that top 5.
He's in there like swimwear, and I think he deserves the title shot. I
That's
really do.
crazy, and crazy that we're saying that. That's how I'm saying it's so flaky, as you said, underneath that.
No, but like you
upper echelon.
pointed out, you made a very good point, Shane, when you said that arguably he beat Ergovic. So
Well, I don't think
really,
there's
he
any
should be
doubt about it.
undefeated.
Yeah.
And he's come to England tonight against all odds, and he smoked one of the guys that everyone said was the boogeyman. Remember,
How was he
people
at
saying no one
scorecards?
wants to fight.
I gave Joyce the third. I gave Zhang every other fight.
Me as well.
Every other round.
Yeah,
fight.
yeah, me
Me as
too.
well.
I gave. Oh, sorry. You go.
Yeah, I gave Zhang rounds 1 and 2 comfortably. I thought Joyce outworked him in the 3rd round,
Yeah.
but then in the 4th and 5th, just remember, I remember saying to you guys that Zhang was starting to look a little bit tired towards the end of the 3rd, but then he come out and had a good 4th and 5th.
He was looking tired, but he had done so much damage up until that point that
Exactly,
he didn't have
yeah.
to do too much more to
Fact.
His
get over the line.
tactics was
Game plan was
You've
amazing.
got to give credit to his trainer, Sean George.
Yes.
Obviously, Zhang had to execute the game plan, but they come up with a game plan. It was perfect. I don't want to, blow my own trumpet too much, but
Do
I
it.
did say that the tactics would be not to try and match Joyce,
The
but
output,
to tuck
yeah.
up and choose your spots. And that's exactly what he did. He did it to perfection.
He did, but I mean, I had it round 1 and 2 Zhang, 4 and 5 Zhang, and then I had round 3 a draw. I had it a tie, and then round 6 I think also Zhang was
Because
dominating.
Joyce
that one.
threw a lot of punches, but he just weren't effective.
No, he wasn't, and to be fair, that's to his credit. That is to his credit. He was getting absolutely pieced up. He couldn't see
How
out of
does
one
he
eye.
bounce back?
He did not step back. How does he bounce back? Unfortunately, he showed a lot of cojones, and I really admire the bravery he showed in his performance. But a loss, whilst it's not the end of your career, it's how you respond from a loss. He's 37 years of age. It's not a good time to be
And he's not a big
learning from a
seller
loss
neither.
and rebuilding your game.
He needs a name. I think Joyce should fight Dillian White. AJ should fight Zhang.
But there's a difference between losing when you're in your 20s and late in your 30s.
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't
I've got
see
another
how he
super
rebuilds
chat here,
himself
guys.
to
I need
World
to read
Championship
out.
level.
Thanks, R-Man. He says it's slightly off topic, but what is everyone's top 3 heavyweights of all time in order? Well, straight away I'm going Ali is number 1.
number 1 every day of the week.
I don't know if Ali's my number 1.
Well,
number 1.
it's up to you, but for me, Ali's
I
got to
got
be number
Ali, Holmes, Lewis. Oh no, of course, yeah.
1. Of all time. Mind you, you're young
Lewis.
guys, so you wouldn't have seen a lot of the other guys.
That's what I'm saying. Joe Lewis, Muhammad Ali. and-
Joe Lewis. Not,
yeah.
I thought you meant Lennox Lewis.
Joe Lewis, yeah. Muhammad Ali and Larry Holmes. That's for me.
James?
Anthony Joshua, number 1. Muhammad Ali, Lennox Lewis.
Nick?
Probably Foreman, Tyson. I know
Yeah,
Tyson.
Foreman ahead of Ali.
I do,
Yeah, come on.
And you got knocked out.
man.
I know. But
You're
I
an
just-
investor in the grills or something.
Nah, George Foreman just natural athleticism, knockout power. I know Ali beat him, but even so,
Ali schooled
Ali
him.
smoked.
I know.
Never wanted a rematch.
No.
Can you blame him?
Iron Mike, and then I might.
Joe Frazier?
That's interesting when people bring up Tyson. I was having this argument with a journalist friend of mine the other
Yeah.
day with Tyson. Great fighter.
Yep.
But for me, Tyson's not in the top 10, mate, because I've never seen Mike Tyson come from behind and win a fight.
And
I understand
he's a
that.
bully
Teddy
and a
Atlas,
front runner.
Teddy Atlas would agree with you on that.
I
He's
actually
a bully and a front runner.
I've
Great
always-
fighter, but he's a bully and a front runner.
always said that when you look at his actual wins in his career,
He
you look at-
hasn't got an
yeah,
impressive
when you
resume.
look at
like
his
other people.
era that he was in, he fought Lennox Lewis, he fought Mike Tyson, he didn't fight Riddick Bowe. I mean, he fought Evander Holyfield, sorry. He lost to Evander Holyfield, he lost to Lennox Lewis.
Twice.
And he didn't fight Riddick Bowe.
Yeah.
So when you look at errors like the Fraser, Foreman, Ali, you want to see a win against the top people in your era. And
He
because
also
Mike
lost
Tyson...
to a
Buster
journeyman
Douglas.
called John McBride. He lost to Buster Douglas. Danny Williams beat him
Yeah,
up
I mean-
and
That was
stopped him.
super. Okay.
I mean, for me,
About 50.
For me, why I say Larry
still-
Holmes, and I
still
don't
his
think
record.
many people talk about him, is because during the 80s,
Yeah.
after that Ali era, Larry Holmes was he was knocking. He was just the
Maybe one of
best fighter.
one of my favorite heavyweights more than the greatest.
Yeah,
then is what I've listed.
Yeah, you're
Do you
probably
know what
his
I mean?
favourites. And then no one ever talks about Joe Lewis.
I would go for nostalgia. I've got to have Jack Johnson in there, the first
Yeah.
black champion.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it obviously just because he's black, but what he had to go through.
Yeah.
You go back in the day, and look at what he had to go through at that time. I read the book, Unforgivable
Who's
Blackness.
free? Who's free in your list?
Yeah, I'm having Jack Johnson
Does
in
Jack
there. Ali
Dempsey get in a
first,
shout
Jack
as well?
Johnson second. Huh?
Jack Dempsey.
No.
Not that I've watched too
No,
much
he was
from
a
him, but if
protected
you listen
fighter.
to...
Yeah.
He was a protected fighter.
That's his era, most of his
He
era.
didn't fight black fighters.
No,
fighters.
like they
so-
would.
and
Yeah.
There
It
were
was
people
a
like Sam
different time,
Langford around at
yeah.
that time that he was scared to fight. He even admitted it. So I'm not having him.
I'd have Mike for youngest heavyweight champion of all time.
Does Tyson
I'll take
Fury
that.
come into the conversation? Because he
hell
calls
no.
himself the
He
greatest.
won't even
of all
fight
time.
Usyk.
Everybody calls himself the greatest.
If he beats Usyk, does he enter himself into the
Course
conversation of a Lennox Lewis?
No,
Yeah,
no
he does.
chance.
In the conversation of a Lennox Lewis, yes, he does. Only because you got to think about the fact he beat Wilder, he beat Usyk, and he beat Klitschko as well. So he ended.
Oh, you
that
mean in the
era.
modern era?
Yeah, he's got to go.
Oh,
in-
yeah, mate.
If
yeah.
he beats
not of all
if
time.
he beats Anthony Joshua and he beats Usyk, then I think he's within the conversation of all time.
Definitely not.
Top 10.
If he beats
Top 10,
both of them, if he
10,
cleans out
definitely
everyone
not.
in his era, he has to be put in the conversation.
The reason why I'll say that is because many people will put Joe Frazier in their top 10. And I think if he beats the two people that you just mentioned,
He's got a better resume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Tyson Fury can. But as it stands right now,
my,
definitely
I'm
my,
tempted-
top,
stands now.
my top three of all time, I'm going Muhammad Ali, Jack Johnson, and Joe Louis.
I need more four, but definitely my favourites are George Foreman, Mike Tyson, and I'm sneaking in Roy Jones. 'Cause I think he's one of the best pound for pound boxers.
heavyweight.
One of the best pound for pound boxers. Even though-
Trump's cheat as well. So
there you go. Asterisk over all,
asterisk, yeah.
two of them.
Yeah, so that's mine. I've got an interesting comment here from Diallo. Thanks, sir, bro. He says, Laurie, British heavyweight boxing is not looking that good at the moment, is it? Now, that's a reasonable question when you consider a lot of people are writing AJ off. Fury won't get in the ring. And now we've seen Joe Joyce, the heir apparent, the so-called boogeyman. He just got banged by Zhang. It's a shame.
I mean, you know me for years. I've always been critical of British boxing.
Hey, listen, I'm not going to let you get away with this
I've
because
always been
you, out of all of us, you would say
Yeah,
it's
you
no
let me
contest.
speak. Cool.
No, man. He's going to go in there. He's
Cool.
doing him.
I wanna hear what you say.
I'm answering the question
Okay,
though.
go
He
ahead.
said British boxing on the whole. I've always been critical of British boxing, and do I think it's at some form of crossroads? Potentially, because I think AJ definitely is at a crossroads in his career. Joe Joyce is coming off a loss. Dylan White definitely seen better days, and Tyson Fury scared to fight Usyk. I think when you look at all,
I don't think he's scared. He just.
I'm just saying that obviously to provoke response, but with him avoiding Usyk for whatever reason, he's not fighting Usyk. I do think British boxing isn't in a good
Yeah, I
place.
think that's a very good comment there, or question by Giallo. James, what do you think?
I think British boxing right now, this year, has completely flipped everything on its head. I mean, our biggest rising star in Conor Benn is now a drugs cheat. His name's completely chalked. Anthony Joshua, back-to-back defeats against Alexander Usyk. That's our biggest draw in general. Gone. Tyson Fury.
No, he did have a
has-
win against Jermaine Franklin. though.
Yeah, but that's our biggest. Yeah, but in nowhere near the stage that
Yeah, I
he
see
should
what
be
you mean,
fighting. He can make it back, but right now his draw, that's completely down. Tyson Fury, he's lost faith with a lot of the British public because he's not making the big fights. Not Deontay Wilder, Dillian White. He was in the contention for the belt. Now he looks like his career's
What
done.
belt?
Well, the heavyweight belt. He had a
At one
heavyweight
stage, yeah.
championship fight against Fury.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and now he looks like his career's winding down. So in terms of British fighters out there, it's really not.
Are we
big.
looking at the next?
Even
crop?
Josh
Fabio
Taylor.
Woodley, David Adelaide, Solomon
Kieran Clark.
Dakers,
Fraser
Kieran
Clark.
Fraser Clark.
I think it's going to be a down era. Boxing's about eras. We have up eras and down eras, and it looks like. I mean, I don't see many people from.
Don't
this crowd.
forget though, we still have the number one heavyweight in the world, so-called, the Gypsy King.
Yeah,
But,
but he's
I think it's
very
a good- I
selective.
think-
It's a
yeah,
good
yeah,
point. He's
yeah.
very selective of who he fights. There's always been controversy there with him for a number of reasons. There's 2 or 3 fights, even before the Klitschko fight, when he said he was going to fight and then pulled out last minute. There's always something, we don't have someone that's just, I'll go in there and fight anyone. Our closest...
Well, we did.
I'm talking about British.
yeah.
No, we
British boxing.
did in Anthony
That's what
Joshua.
I was just about to say. The last person we did have that with was Anthony Joshua, and I don't believe he ducked anyone. I just think different things weren't right at different times. But actually, looking back, dodging Wilder or things not working out of Wilder probably was a bit of a swerve for him, actually, in hindsight. So yeah, it's not a great time for British heavyweight boxing. There's exciting fighters coming up at lower divisions, but certainly heavyweight.
Another question for you, supplementary. Joe Joyce. bad defeat tonight. Got beat up, outboxed, outclassed, really. Can he come back and become a world champion?
Yeah, I think we spoke about what happens if somebody becomes undisputed and then they have to vacate a bunch of belts and then there'll be a bunch of different pathways to get belts. We spoke about that with regards to AJ. So it's not out of the realms of possibility. And then he'll be in with people that he's maybe much more comfortable with, like a Dillian Whyte and stuff like that. If you guys are saying, I don't think Anthony Joshua will ever touch a heavyweight belt again, but if you guys are saying to me what you did say on our boxing talk show, like I said before, every Thursday, go check it out. But if you guys are saying that there's a route for AJ to come back to being a world champion, then there's got to be a route for
I would
Joyce as well.
disagree with that, though, because I think Eddie Hearn's laid the foundations and investments in Anthony Joshua and will continue to do so. Is Frank Warren now going to continue laying those investments for...
That's stuff that's out of his control. I'm just talking about a boxing perspective. But
of course,
yeah, what
but
you're saying makes
moving
sense, yeah.
forward, though, I actually don't know, because I know for a fact Frank Warren's lost a lot of money on Joe Joyce in terms of his shows, because obviously he's not, the big seller. So I want to know, does, Frank Warren decide to go, you know what, I'm going to hedge my bets a little bit with him, and I'm going to invest maybe more into Fury or more into Daniel Dubois or
I'll tell you what,
Adelaide.
though, say what you want about AJ. I've never seen him get beat up like that. He got stopped by Ruiz. Don't forget, just before he got knocked out by Ruiz, he had Ruiz heavily hurt. They engaged and he got caught. He got caught with that temple shot. It's not like he got beat up. But
then
tonight, Joe Joyce got beat up.
We could say the opposite, though. We could say what you want about Joe Joyce. I've never seen him get decked by... But do you mean he didn't get dropped?
No. The point I'm making is that I've never seen AJ. Okay,
I've seen him quit, though. Seen him quit.
Who?
AJ.
Against
What, in the
Bro,
Ruiz
I
fight?
don't care what no one says. When you look at that fight against first Usyk fight, the
Okay,
last
I was
3
there.
rounds,
I was there live.
He quit, bro. He did
No,
not try.
he was just tired. He was zapped. He was
Nah,
drained.
he gave
mate.
up, bro. I don't care what
He
no
had
one
zilch
says.
energy.
If those are your belts, you should never go out like that. That guy went out like a complete...
Maybe he got outclassed.
No, but if you look at the urgency and the lack of... He didn't even want it. Like, after 10
I mean,
rounds,
like
he
Amir
didn't
Khan
even want
versus
it.
Kell Brooks.
Yeah, but you're the same man who said that Amir Khan didn't want it against Kell Brooks.
Anyone's
You said he
telling-
No,
bro,
he actually
if
said he wanted to get knocked
If
out.
that
anyone's
was
telling me, that
Not
you...
one of your best
If
contributions.
anyone's telling me that after the 10th round against Usyk, that AJ had any form of... he showed any form of heart.
I must admit,
watch
Shane,
that fight.
honestly, I'm not like no cap. I didn't see it that way. I just think he got outclassed.
I think if I'm Joyce and someone is sitting there saying, I've never seen AJ get beat up like that, I'm feeling very aggrieved and say, listen, the guy kept hitting me, my eye swelled. It was a great performance from him. But AJ's been dropped multiple times, been KO'd. He's been, do you know what I mean, look wobbly.
No,
things like that.
I
Do you know
know
what I mean?
that. I'm saying that let's be honest, he kind of got outclassed tonight.
And AJ's
I'm
been
not
outclassed.
saying, but
Yeah, but
I've not
has he
seen
been
AJ
outclassed
get
as
beat up like
dramatically?
that. Have you seen AJ get beat up and stopped?
Listen,
like
AJ
tonight?
rocked someone, and then in the bounce back, like flipping
No,
Kung
but
Fu
answer the
Panda,
question.
he got
Answer
knocked
So he
the
out.
got hit by a punch from
You
the
know what I'm
gods.
saying, don't you?
I know exactly what you're saying.
He got
I
dropped,
think what
but he
you're
never
trying to
got
say is-
beat up and stopped like tonight.
No, he
Because,
didn't.
because his chin isn't durable enough to get
Has he
beat up
been-
and
has he
and
been
stuff like that.
look at
the
He can't
scorecards.
survive. AJ can't survive
Look at
getting
the-
beaten up like that ever.
Nick, look at the scorecards. He lost 5 rounds out. When have you ever seen AJ get beat up like that?
He's been beat up by flipping Usyk,
And
but
when
has he ever-
Usyk doesn't carry the power that Zhang does.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But Joe Joyce did.
The super chat here. Read out this super chat.
Okay, wait. Before we do, can I just say,
it's on the same topic.
has AJ ever been stopped by the 6th round? Has he ever been stopped before it gets to the second half of the fight?
No.
Well, there you
But
go.
wait, when was the Ruiz? What round
Ruiz
was the
was
Ruiz?
7-8.
Okay.
7-8.
round.
So the
I don't think
one round after.
You can't. Listen, the Ruiz. You can't compare Ruiz with tonight.
No, I won't.
AJ was winning the Ruiz fight. He dropped him, and then when they went to engage, he got caught.
I'm not
Yeah,
using
it's
the
different.
Ruiz. I'm not using the Ruiz.
And then he
fight.
got outclassed by
But
Usyk.
he-
But
there
what I'm
was-
saying
he
is,
showed
hold
no
on,
dog
hold
in
on.
that fight.
What I'm saying is, I've never seen AJ get beat up like Joe Joyce with his
Okay, I know
eye
what you're
hanging
saying.
out and all that.
I know
I've
what
never
you're
seen
saying.
that.
That's
Eye
true.
hanging
That's true. I agree. But
And those types of fights, I might add. And listen, I'm not
Take years off your
denigrating.
life.
Yeah, I'm not denigrating Joe Joyce because he's one of the toughest guys out there in world boxing. But psychologically, he could be damaged after tonight.
Not just psychologically.
that's
I mean,
super
it
Right, let me
could
just
give
read
him
this super
serious
chat
brain
here.
damage.
Monkey Slayers, thanks for the super chat. He says, we're hanging on to AJ at the moment because there's no one else. Now, you're the AJ simp. Is there any truth in that?
No, well, there is
there
someone
is-
else. It's James Tyson Fury.
Yeah, exactly.
It's James Tyson Fury. We just need him to get out there and actually fight the people that we want him to fight. One of them being Anthony Joshua. But of course, Anthony Joshua is the biggest draw in boxing, and people are going to draw comparisons because of how low his stock is right now and how high Joyce's stock is right now. And I think that fight, as you're saying, is just a reminder that there is levels to this game, and whilst people may not think Anthony Joshua is on the Fury Usyk level, he is still a cut above the Dillian Whites, the Dubois, the Joe Joyces, arguably the Wilders. Wilder might be on Anthony Joshua's level, and I think it's just a reminder of that, because I haven't seen him outclass that much in a fight. I know Usyk outclassed him, but there were still rounds where he was in the fight, and if you were looking at it, could he push?
He quit in that.
Whether he quit,
No, but that's
He quit in that
subjective.
fight.
You think that, we don't think that. But the point I'm trying to make is, and I hope, listen, I know what you're going to say. Yes, AJ got knocked out and he got outclassed by Usyk. But what I'm saying is, I've never seen AJ get beat up the way Joyce. How many times did we see Joe Joyce's head just like it was on a?
Yeah, it's never been that one-sided.
Yeah.
It's
Never
that's
been
the
that
most one. That's
one-sided.
more
But
one-sided
he went
than
out
any
on
AJ.
his shield, though.
he did.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying I've never seen AJ get beat up like that.
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen it neither. You're completely right.
Well, as you said earlier, the best chin is the one that
It's the
doesn't
ones
get hit.
that don't get hit. Nick, super chat from One, he says, and I must admit, I was a bit bewildered by it. How can you say Foreman above Ali? Ali beat Liston twice as underdog, Fraser twice, KO'd Foreman, and Ernie Shavers one of the hardest punches. That is a very good.
And Norton as well. He beat
Yeah,
Norton
again,
as well.
I did say this isn't what
It's more what
it's
you
more.
like,
It's more
innit?
preference than. Do you know what I mean? Like than.
I think he's got
greatest.
shares.
I
in
think,
the
yeah,
grills.
he's made a lot of sandwiches in that lean mean grilling machine. That's for sure.
Don't get me wrong, Foreman was a great heavyweight. But,
Definitely.
Ali is elite.
Ironically,
Goat.
you know,
Ali's
the
goat. I
greatest
mean,
of all
there's
time.
good, there's very good, there's great, there's elite,
James,
and then there's goat.
James
Ali
put
is
James
goat.
by the time Fury retires will put Fury ahead of.
Now you
Ali.
put AJ. You put AJ above Ali.
Fury, AJ, Ali.
no, I wouldn't necessarily. I mean, look, at the end of the day, Muhammad Ali, for the reason he's a GOAT, like I said, a lot of it is also to do with what he did outside of the ring, because he was
No,
the first
if
to
you-
win.
No, but
No,
even inside
look,
the ring.
I'm not
If you-
diminishing his skills
if you
in the
take-
ring.
if-
Look,
if you
the
take
way he
all of the
dispatched
out of the
Foreman,
ring stuff-
the way he dispatched the Foreman mentally, sucking him into the ropes, trash talking him, completely taking him out of his zone and defeating him.
Even the
Phenomenal
way,
fighter.
even when he won
Technically
his first
amazing.
title, he beat a beast, Sonny
Sonny
Liston.
Yeah,
Liston.
technically amazing. Yeah,
was
and
what-
no
that
one
was a
thought
massive
Sonny
upset
Liston
at
could
that
be
time.
beat. Yeah, but
I know
what
what
the
you're,
reason
I know what
the
you're saying
GOAT
about his
conversation is a
significance.
popularity thing.
Yeah,
What he
no,
did
no, no,
outside
but
of the ring is
I feel that I need to correct.
especially
you.
no, but when
I
people
feel that
compare
I
him
need
to a Joe
correct you. As
Lewis,
somebody that's a lot older than you, I think I need to correct you
Man,
that
put out that old
it's
man
not
card.
just what he
no,
did
no,
out
I'm not
the
saying
ring.
it's just. I'm saying when you compare him to a Joe Lewis or someone like that,
Yeah.
who again get
Yeah,
raved
yeah.
about in what
The
they've
man
done.
won the heavyweight title 3 times. Never been
Oh, no,
done.
yeah,
when
yeah,
he
yeah, I
did
mean,
that.
he is one of the most slick technical boxers ever. I'm not taking away from him.
He's the greatest.
He's a beautiful boxer to watch.
the
Not that I
greatest.
watched him live, but I've obviously watched the tapes back.
Greatest heavyweight,
but
definitely.
What you do outside of the ring, whether you think it should or shouldn't, people will look back on.
Yeah,
you
they
more.
will,
The
yeah,
same way
yeah.
you put Mike Tyson in there because of the aura of fear around him. But when you actually look at the times he was truly tested,
Yeah.
he did crumble
Got
in a
found
lot of those
wanting, yeah,
fights.
for
But
sure.
because of the aura of invincibility and ruthlessness that he had around him, people will always look on Mike Tyson maybe higher than they
Is
should.
there any other super chats
Uh,
or anything within the comments?
yeah, it says this guy's dreaming. They didn't say which one.
Who's dreaming?
King Holt says Laurie is right. Yeah, of course I am.
What are you,
I'm
what
all
are you
right.
right about?
Everything.
I think he's hand
Every
selecting.
bit.
his comments.
When am I?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You
Joe
also-
Joyce is a flat track bully. I think that's a bit
I
harsh.
think it's a bit unfair.
Given his amateur record shows that that's not the case. Do you know what I mean? Like he's a good technical boxer, but I didn't understand the game plan tonight. The game plan he put out tonight was absolutely perfectly tailor made for Zhang. I don't know what happens if they rematch.
Or was
but-
Zhang's game plan
And
just
I've said that already.
that good?
I said that already. Like Zhang's game plan was perfect, but he really tailor made his style tonight to lose the way that he did.
Mantis Janatis, he says, this is interesting. He says, Fury is just miles ahead of everyone. You guys can hate him, but he's still the best, and no one is beating him yet. But to be fair, all of us here have said that right now, Fury is
Fury's
the
the
best.
guy, yeah.
We just don't
I
like the
wouldn't
way
know
he
that.
conducts his
We don't know that. I've not said that. Them three.
No, I think he
Okay.
beats
In
everyone
order-
aside from Anthony
No, but
Joshua. but
on current
of the current crop,
resume,
and we want to see him.
he has
not
to be the
resume.
number one.
Yeah, no. In terms
AJ
of resume at heavyweight,
At
in terms
heavyweight,
of winning
yeah,
at heavyweight, then cool. But
But
for
he's still
me,
got to fight Usyk for it to get across the line.
To me, there is no number one until those two fight each other.
Who Usyk and Fury? You mean?
Yeah, until Usyk and Fury fight each other, there's no number that we don't know who the best is.
Yeah, to the person that wrote that comment, your frustration isn't with us. Your frustration is with Fury himself. Fury can put us all to bed and to sleep once if he beats Usyk and put this completely to bed.
Maybe that comment was aimed at me. And listen, I'm going to put my cards on the table. I don't like Tyson Fury. I think he's a person that acts without integrity. I don't like the way he conducts himself. That being said, that's just my personal opinion. I will say, on current resumes, he's probably the number one, although I do agree with Shane. He's got to prove it to me completely by beating Usyk. But I just don't like the way the guy represents himself, represents boxing. I find him very disingenuous. At times, look at the way he made that video the other day calling Usyk all the names under the sun.
Yeah.
Very disrespectful.
But
He is an entertaining guy,
Now,
though. Let's be real.
if you think that's entertaining, people out there, if you think that's entertaining, then fine. Maybe that says more about you.
Well, I think he's an entertaining character. I'm not saying that video specifically.
Well, if you like that type of thing, then...
Well, not that video specifically, but he is a very charismatic guy.
But what I was going to go on to say,
listen to.
I will never... You won't hear me say he's not a great fighter by modern standards of today, because he's a very, very good fighter. He's unbeaten for a reason. He's got good skills. His heart is without question, as he showed when he fought Wilder them times. Got off the floor, won the fight, went to Germany, beat Klitschko. Yeah, all that, cool. Do I like him as a person? No, I don't. So that's my take on Tyson Fury.
He brought up the point of us, we can cuss him all he like. What I will say to you is, I don't know who made that comment. Sorry.
The name was difficult to pronounce.
Yeah. Sorry if I don't...
Janatis something.
Yeah. What I would say is you have more confidence in Tyson Fury than Tyson Fury has in himself. Because if Tyson Fury had that confidence, he would have fought Usyk already. And
I don't think he's scared of Usyk. I think he just wants easier fights for more money.
Maybe he's scared to lose.
Literally.
I don't think there's any ounce of fear in that man. That guy...
That's not true. If there's absolutely no reason, there'd be no fear in him, and then he wouldn't take the fight.
No, I think it's just he wants easier fights for more money. I don't think that he has an ounce of fear
that would take away from him being a great boxer.
To lose, then.
That means he's scared to lose.
Potentially, but I think it's more.
See, when people use that word fear, people automatically think, "Oh, he's scared." We're not saying he's scared of Usyk. That is not what we're saying. What we're saying is maybe he's scared to lose, or maybe he sees something.
The risk isn't worth the reward. Is from his view, and that doesn't make a great fighter.
We all know it was him why that fight didn't take place. It wasn't Usyk, was it?
Yeah.
I mean, he disrespected Usyk in the negotiations by offering him 70-30.
And he took it.
And the man said, I'll take it. That shocked him.
To play devil's advocate, Frank Warren did say he did try to call his manager, and then by the time that the call came across, Usyk was already back in Ukraine, and it would have taken 24 hours to get there. There are two sides to every story.
For like £150 million unification fight.
That's straight.
No, as in he was already, the fight was already off by the time that whole thing happened. Look, there's a lot of sides to it. I do think that Fury was probably the main reason that fight wasn't made.
The Tyson Fury simp.
No, look, I'm just giving. Look, I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'm saying the other side of the story. There's two sides to every story. I don't know the man personally, so I'm not going to lavish anything about his personal life.
Tyson Fury, although you could argue that he's a great fighter, he's also a very disreputable person, and to me, he's not good for the sport. That's why I don't like him. But anyway, let's move on from that. I'm going to wrap up now. We've seen a monumental upset, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah.
I just want to go around the table and get your thoughts on what you saw tonight. Let's start with Shane.
Yeah, man. Good fight. Definitely entertained. Way more competitive than I thought it would be. He ended up going to Zhang. Well done to Zhang. I want to see him in big fights. Neither of them have
just one word. Who do you want to see him in with next?
AG. Why not?
Nick?
What's
your thoughts on the fight tonight?
Yeah, really, really good. I mean, just, reaffirming the importance of good trainers, good coaches, good game plans, not just relying on ability. And what separates good fighters from great fighters is being able to make adjustments. And Joyce wasn't able to make any adjustments today. He kept trying to do the same thing over and over again, and that's what happened. But I want to see Joyce versus White. I think that's, you know, a good fight. British, well-known fighters.
No, for Zhang.
And I was going to say, and for Zhang, I want to see him versus AJ as well.
I think a lot of people will be saying that. Sure. Got to give my man James here semi-last word. I've got to have the last word because hosting, but you predicted it. You were right.
Call me Mystic Mac because I predict these things. Yeah, I told you all. I put my money where my mouth is. Big bang. Zhang was going to knock him out, and he didn't just knock him out. He tactically outclassed him from the first second to the last second of the fight. There was only one winner in this fight the whole time, and I'm so confident that I'm going to predict it right again. I'm not even going to take your £10 off you. I'm going to raise you a double or nothing for the next fight. I'm going to be collecting even more money when Ryan Garcia does the business for me next week. So if you want to see me win even more money off Shane over here, then make sure you tune in.
You think lightning strikes twice, do you?
It's not lightning striking twice. The only thing striking was the lightning in his left hand and his right hand. That right hook was catching him. Absolute masterclass from Zhang. I want to see him in there with Tyson Fury next.
You know what? You got to give James his respect. Let's give because James got it right, man.
Very right, man.
You're the only person that I know. I'm on a lot of chat groups, and I interact with a lot of people on social media, and pretty much everybody I spoke to was all of the same opinion that Joyce was going to be victorious. Some people did say that they thought Zhang would give him some uncomfortable moments, but everyone was predicting that.
To be fair, I predicted on Thursday that Joyce was going to win, but I could just feel it, man. As the fight was looming, the press conference, I could just feel the confidence emanating from Zhang.
Yeah, well done, man. Let's see if you can live up to that prediction next week. But listen, just to close out, guys, listen, first I want to say thanks very much for watching. Really appreciate it. We had a really good time. DR Boxing Fight Party. We've got a weekly show as well. Make sure you check that out. That's going to be interesting next week. What we saw tonight, wow, amazing. I didn't see it coming. None of us on this side of the table saw it coming. I knew Zhang would be a good opponent, but I never expected this. Monumental upset. I'm calling it the biggest upset in boxing this year. Let us know what you think about that. Thank you very much. Like, share, subscribe. See you next week. See you next Thursday. We will be discussing this and more fights coming up. The Ryan Garcia versus Tank Davis. We're going to be covering that live. Make sure you check that out too. See you next week.